the question remains that if you were to have a secret new episode for
the Third Channel podcast.
Oh shit. No. If you were to have a secret like final episode for a show that ended in a famously negatively received way, would it be Stranger Things? Would it be The Sopranos, or would it be Game of Thrones? Because people only did the crazy fucking conspiracy about Stranger Things. Or is that just what we know because of social media? Like, do you think there were people out there scrubbing The Sopranos and they were like, oh, there's no way this is the end?
Yeah, I don't think not to the same extent.
Yeah.
I have not watched, of those three shows, I have not watched The Sopranos.
I haven't either. I do understand, though, that people have like, there are so many theories about the way that show ended where they're like, oh, he's been dead. And that's like him going to heaven or like, oh, yeah, it ends like that because they get killed right then. Because like you hear like a scrape or something. Yeah. I don't know. But obviously Game of Thrones, I think people were so fed up with Game of Thrones by the time the final season aired that they just didn't like, there was no energy to come up with a conspiracy like this.
Yeah. Well, and it was more of just, instead of a conspiracy of, oh, no, there's a real ending that we're just not getting yet. It's, hey, let's all sign a petition to have them redo the final 2 seasons. And it's like, well, that's never going to happen.
Not only is that never going to happen, but also that shouldn't be what you're signing the petition for. It should be to get George R.R. Martin off his lazy ass.
Right.
Or I don't know. I don't know if it's laziness or.
Oh, and when I say right, I mean WRITE.
Okay. Yeah, no, the conformity gate, as it's called.
Yeah, I guess.
It's fucking crazy.
It really, truly is. I have not looked into a whole lot of it because I find it all ridiculous.
I also find it ridiculous, but I did fall down the rabbit hole as to what people thought. Now, here's what I will say. At no point did I think that this was going to happen for a handful of reasons. Number one, I don't think the Duffer Brothers are that creative.
Right.
I think the reason that show did as well as it did is because of Sean Levy. I think him leaving that show and seeing what they were able to come up with without any kind of, thumb on the scale. I think it shows that this season having the lowest rated episodes and kind of being, well, I say this season, this fragment of the show, I think that he was very pivotal to their success. I can understand why people were disappointed in having seeing how it ends. I think it's fine.
Yeah, no, see, I am on the, I like the ending and I am fine with the ending.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I like the way it ends.
Yeah.
Like the very ending and the way it's explained.
The way that it's all kind of tied up and kind of the coda or the epilogue.
Yeah. And I love that. I don't like what happens before it. I don't like
the big climax of
or how we get there. I think that the dialogue specifically when I say writing, but I think the writing of the show really heavily focuses on kind of weak character interactions. There's a lot of stuff that people are saying to each other that like 2 seasons ago would have been done, I think, a lot better.
Yeah, I think a lot, because I don't disagree on that point. I think a lot of that has to do with them going, okay, we have set this up as this is our end. And so we have a finish line that we're now looking at. And so we have to maybe convey a lot of information in a short amount of time in both plot reasons and both tying up character threads between these couples or these people or these whatevers. So we have to let's just have them talk at each other in the most simplest terms.
Yeah, and I think it's easier for a show like Breaking Bad, where really when the show ends, you've got 2 characters in Jesse and Walt that need to have closure for the audience to feel fulfilled. And in a show like Stranger Things, there's a dozen characters that all need that. But the conformity gate thing is like just the saddest, most desperate thing I've ever seen a group of like fans do. First of all, imagine being the Duffer Brothers right now.
Right.
Like oh guys, no, there isn't a secret. I was like, that was it. That's the best we could do. We gave you what we thought you'd love. And everyone's like, yeah, but there's more, right? Because of things that are like written on like background things, the way fucking extras are holding their hands. I saw somebody cite that in a scene at the very end during that kind of epilogue period that there's an extra who's like looking like at the camera and like staring at like Mrs. Wheeler and like doing odd things like that. And it's like, he's an extra.
Right.
They got him from a fucking stable. They pulled his headshot off a pile. It's not like his performance should not be calculated in any way. He's not great, which is why he's an extra. Crazy. Some of it, there was a period where like, and I think Netflix like caught on to it pretty early on. And I think they liked the publicity of it. Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Because they started fucking around. Like they changed their fucking bio and shit. But there were people that were like, oh yeah. And if you look at their bio, it's 1 and 7 letters. It was like Jim Carrey's 23, if you've ever seen that.
Yeah, I haven't, but it's like, it is the most grasping at straws I've ever seen. It's like, well, yeah, if you look at things through that lens enough, you can pick it apart and go, oh, well, this is what they clearly meant the whole time. And it's like, no.
Yeah. It's also the Pepe Sylvia meme from Always Sunny, but specifically in that fucking Charlie in that episode comes up with the Pepe Sylvia conspiracy because he is misinformed. He is unaware that the people that he is now investigating are in fact real.
Right.
And it's like the whole concept, it's this one is specifically strange because it's not being misinformed. It's being misguided because you can't accept that your favorite show in the world ended in a way that maybe you're not super thrilled with.
Yeah, it's something that I think has happened, unfortunately, to pop culture.
Yeah, big time.
And the way that people connect with it. I don't know if it has to do with social media. I don't know if it has to do with, I think a lot of it, and I'm not going to put blame on it in the way that normally people do, I think. But I think the way that we consume media and the way that fandoms work changed when Twilight happened, because it wasn't just I'm watching a movie and these are my favorite characters. It was, are you on this team or are you on this team? And if they don't end up with one or the other of these two people the way that I want, then the story has not worked. And it's like,
yeah, it's the Team Snape, Team Dumbledore thing. I think that my first real dunk in the cold water of people, theorizing and being very upset when their theories didn't come true was WandaVision. Because people kept saying, oh, it's Mephisto. He's going to show up. He's going to show up. And then he never did.
Right.
And people were furious. And I was like, Mephisto showing up in WandaVision? I mean, stranger things have happened. The Third Channel Podcast. 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 Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You've summoned us, and now we're here screaming through your mirror. We're the Third Channel Podcast,
where we delve into the horror franchises you love from the perspectives of a lifelong horror fan
and a newbie to the genre. I'm a whole bunch of bees.
And I'm Derek.
And today, the only thing we're here to talk about is arguably one of the greatest horror films of all time. My personal favorite movie that I've seen probably in 5 years, Candyman.
Now, did you say you were a whole bunch of bees or beans, Morocco?
Oh shit! In this episode, dude, I'm bees Morocco. I should have said that. Fuck. Let's take this again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are finally here.
Yeah.
I know that this may not be as monumental for you as it is for me. I get that. I know.
Well, yeah, I'm not the one in the suit.
Yeah, that's true. I dressed up, ladies and gentlemen. And it's being here and finally talking about this movie. I'm over the moon.
Yeah.
I'm super happy, especially because, I don't know if we've ever just said specifically this, but when we watch these movies to prepare for these episodes, we typically watch them. You always do, and I will from time to time join you, but we usually watch the movie twice in the week leading up so that we can be extra prepared, have good notes, know the details. Keep in mind, all those details just wipe from my mind like Rain-X on a windshield, but not this time. Maybe I watched it twice because, sometimes when you're watching an Inferno or a Freddy's Dead or Friday the 13th part, whatever, Jason eats a sandwich. Those are the ones
they become a slog to get through.
And you have to watch them twice.
Yeah.
And so this, the second time the fanfare of 20th Century Fox plays, I don't care about you anymore, Freddy. I'm tired of you.
I wish you were dead.
Yeah. Oh, well, good news. You put on these 3D glasses. But this one was one that this franchise, I'm very excited for. And do you have any housekeeping?
I don't believe I have any housekeeping.
Okay. I don't have any housekeeping other than to say thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Welcome to 2026.
Yeah. This is going to be the start of, because the holiday season, the start of our season 2, if you will, has been a lot of holiday stuff. It's been a lot of apocalypse stuff. It's been some little guys.
None of
the Gremlins.
Yeah, none of it's really been, with the exception of Gremlins, none of it's really been a franchise.
Right.
Because The Thing 2011, yes, it is part of The Thing and those are a shared universe, but I almost don't consider them a franchise.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This is our first true blue franchise of the year. And since, because, we Trick or Treat, Krampus, Thanksgiving, all these movies kind of one off. We couldn't have picked a better one to start with.
Exactly. And it's getting us back into kind of what we did in our first year of doing this, of a lot of slasher franchises.
Yeah. This is, funny enough, I think that and it's the Clive Barker of it all, but I feel like he is, for being of the slasher pantheon of these, 70s, 80s, 90s slasher characters, I feel like he's probably the least slasheriest of them all.
Yeah, agreed.
He's kind of shares some of the Freddy stuff and the spiritual sort of demonic way that he manipulates around the world and kind of exists.
Yeah, the way that he needs people to believe in him to be effective, to exist.
Every time, by the way, I hear him now say you didn't believe in me, so now I'm here. I think of the Whitest Kids sketch where, to punish his child for playing a game he doesn't like, Trevor Moore as the father says, "I don't believe in you," until his son disappears.
Yeah, now I will too. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what happened to Candyman. That's why I had to come back. But he behaves so much more. And I pointed this out during our first rewatch. He almost behaves like the musical version of the Phantom of the Opera. He is lethal and he is murderous, but it's not so slashery.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's typically for a reason. And that reason is usually especially this film, Candyman seems to do what he does for this perverted sense of love and need. And he's just, it's so wonderful. The only thing that I can say about this movie, and I say it every time I finish watching it, is there are so many things that any other movie that did the things that I can point out as flaws with this movie, I would diminish that movie to the point where, I'd almost maybe write it off.
Right.
But something about this movie, and I don't know what it is. And hopefully after a couple hours we'll figure it out. But it's one of my favorites. It is tremendous. Do you remember the first time that you saw this movie?
So the first time that I have it notated in Letterboxd, and I didn't write a review or anything, so I don't know if it was the first time, but more than likely it was, is similarly to last week, October of 2014, I had watched it during my 31 days of horror. I may have seen it once before then, because I didn't start, as we have said before, whenever I finally got into Letterboxd for real, I obsessively pored over it for about a month straight. And so I went back, and you can, for those who don't use Letterboxd, you can, obviously check off the movies that you have watched. But you can also put down the exact day and date that you watched them.
Yes.
And so I obsessively went back and did that for every movie that I could think of, and had a record of, either through movie tickets that I had, or just looking at the release order of films for years and knowing like, yeah, I saw that in theaters. Okay, it would have been opening weekend. It would have been on this day roughly. I went back to, I believe, the summer of 2012.
Wow.
Because I put down my first, if you go all the way back in my diary now on Letterboxd, my earliest.
Oh, not your paper diary with the little heart lock on it.
Well, how do you know about that?
I've read it.
What?
You are a sad person.
Yeah, that is true. Because I went back to 2012 and I did my diary entries on Letterboxd. But I started with the first time that I saw Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
Because I did the trilogy rewatch in theaters.
Right.
So back to back to back, I watched Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises for its premiere.
Okay.
And I was like, that's a good enough place to start.
Sure. Yeah. Because Lord knows that if you hadn't, it would be, right now it's already sort of a very large molehill.
Right.
Like as close to a mountain as a molehill can be. But if you had logged your entire life's history, it would be 2 molehills.
But yeah, so 2014, it appears probably. Now, I know the first time I saw anything of this movie was on that VHS and then later DVD that I have of Boogeymen.
Yeah.
Because the scene that they play on that, if I'm not mistaken, is the parking garage scene.
Oh.
So it is that kind of the first meeting between them.
Yeah.
Which, of course, happens 45 minutes into this film.
Which, and I think that, like, that's another thing that sets him apart from most slashers is, like, yeah, they really take their time and build his sort of, like, his, like, gravity and his impact.
Yeah,
and
like,
so
they build the urban legend of him until we have an answer.
Yeah.
And then we are given, oh no, the real, the conformity gate of it all.
Except this time it's real.
Yeah, this time it is real.
Oh, dude, who wins in a fight, Candyman or Vecna?
Candyman.
It's actually a trick question. It's Vecna, but the actual one from D&D.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, he'd just make them like have never existed or whatever. Looking at my letterbox, because you said that, and I was like, I wonder if there's an actual date. There is. I watched it with you for the first time. The first time I watched it was looks like January 24th of 2024 is the first time that I watched this movie. And I remember that being a very positive experience, not only because the movie's great and I had a good time watching it, but you've said this on the show 1,000 times. You're like, I never know what you're going to like. I never know what's going to speak to you or piss you off or, and
this
so,
was when I was kind of nervous is maybe too strong of a word, but I don't know what word to use. It was just this, like you said, it's a slasher movie, but it's not all that slashery.
Right. And thank God it's not.
Right.
I found kind of a home with this movie because I think this is the template to me for a perfect horror character. Not the supernaturalistic sort of odd. Does he not exist? And the mythos of it. I just mean more like the way he operates,
Right.
the amount of time it takes to give him to you, and then just kind of the horrible, evil ruthlessness of that once he is there. I think it works so well. But I remember the positive experience of that being after the movie, walking out into the parking lot of my apartment complex. And we had done that 1,000 times. But I think this night we talked probably until the sun had either began to rise or was threatening to do that. Because I didn't have, and it wasn't one of those conversations where we talk about the movie and then we talk about 1,000 other things. It's like, we talked about this movie the whole time.
Yeah.
Because I was floored by it. I was amazed by it. And then the next day, I couldn't get it out of my head. So the next day, I put it on again. And then I watched it this year for Halloween. I had it play, and people were kind of milling about and talking, and I just watched it again. And then I've now seen it 2 more times. So I've seen it 5 times since that first date. And it's in my Letterboxd top 4. I always go back and forth between this one, the first Scream movie, and John Carpenter's Halloween is the best horror film of all time. But after watching it again, it's like, this one's shot right back in front for me. Candyman. We dare you to say his name 5 times. The Candyman, a murderous soul with a hook for a hand, is accidentally summoned to reality by a skeptic grad student researching the monster's myth. So,
I like it.
You know, classic Fredward Krueger thing here. Yeah. A lot of similarities with Freddy.
Yeah.
In just, a hand with a bunch of sharp shit versus, I mean, he's got a bunch of sharp shit. It's a hook, but there's a bunch of nails in it and bee stingers.
Yeah.
You ever been stung by a bee?
I have.
Did you blow up and have a really bad reaction to it?
I can't remember because it's been a long, long time since I've been stung by like a wasp or a bee, thankfully. I know as a kid, I feel like I was much more allergic than I have been later in life. I also was really allergic growing up to mosquito bites.
Oh, I still am.
Yeah.
I react terrible to them. But as far as bees go, the only bee-related story that I have is at my elementary school. My best friend at the time, best friends or you just happen to be in a room together, but his name was Evan. And we were like out and playing for recess or whatever. And he gets stung by a bee and he goes, ow. And he turns, he's like, what was that? And I see it kind of on the ground. I'm like, oh, you got stung by a bee. And he looks up at me and he goes, do you mind walking with me to the nurse's office? Cause I'm going to die. And that's how he said it. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I'm really allergic to bees. And he's already turning red.
Oh my God.
And I was like, holy shit. So yeah, we ran over there and he died.
Wow.
Yeah. He's Candyman now.
The only bee story that I have, when my brother was very young, we were at my grandmother's house and he was stung by a bee. And he came in. Have you ever heard, I don't know what it is about it, but it's like, you're supposed to like flick if the stinger's still in you, you're supposed to like flick the stinger off. You can't just like pull it out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I guess, I don't know if this is a Southern thing. I don't know what this is exactly, and I'm not going to look it up right now. But apparently if you take like chewing tobacco and put it on the wound, it helps it in some way. I don't know if it draws something out of it.
Is it the loose tobacco or do you have to chew it first and then stick it on there?
So this is where the whole story goes, because we were there for, I don't know if it was a holiday or whatever, but my uncle was there and he chewed dip.
Okay, sure.
And so they were like, oh, Jason's been stung by this bee, uncle. Yeah. And so he like took some of it out and he kind of jokingly like stuck it out to my brother. And he was like, here, use this. And my brother takes it. And he's like, what am I supposed to do with that? And he jokingly is just like, well, you chew it. And so my brother, not knowing what it was or anything, just right in his mouth as like a child.
All I can imagine now is like, and if he goes 20 minutes without doing it, he gets the shakes.
Yeah. He is very much addicted.
He started as a child. That is a Southern thing, by the way.
Okay.
Being addicted to tobacco products from a very young age. Yeah.
Of course. Candyman was, it had its premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival in 1992.
Why do all of these movies premiere in Canada?
I don't know.
They're all Canadian film festivals.
Yeah. It also, that was, I guess, the same year that Quentin Tarantino's debut film Reservoir Dogs premiered there and won, some award. As I'm looking, but more importantly, it was released on September 11th of 1992. The only reason I'm laughing is that I chose that moment when PJ was drinking to say that.
Oh my God.
But it was released in the United States, officially, October 16th of 1992. So I was alive for this one. I was there day one.
Okay.
Forget whatever I said before about when I saw this for the first time.
Okay.
It was for my second birthday. I was like, I want to go see Candyman.
Yeah. For my brother's 7th birthday, he had a Godzilla themed birthday.
Oh, wow.
But his 7th birthday was in the mid 90s. So you understand which Godzilla movie it was.
Yeah, the good one.
Yeah.
Right?
No. No.
This movie is written and directed by Bernard Rose.
Okay.
It is produced by Steve Golan, Sigeron. I'm definitely pronouncing this name wrong. It's Icelandic. Sigeron Sivatsson and Alan Pohl. The cinematography is done by Anthony B. Richmond, who had shot Don't Look Now, which was a 73 thriller. The Man Who Fell to Earth, which is a science fantasy film starring David Bowie. He shot The Sandlot in 1993.
Okay.
Tales from the Hood, which was a 95 black horror anthology. Cherry Falls, which was a slasher from 1999. And then he, not most importantly, but we're getting there. He was the cinematographer for Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Squeakquel.
Great.
In 2009. And also in 2009, this is most importantly, he shot the film Miss March, which was written and directed by Trevor Moore and Zach Kreger.
I just made a Whitest Kids reference. What the fuck?
Yeah.
How does this happen every time?
It's all connected, man.
Everything's connected, guys. I'm connected to Derek.
Zach Kreger, for those listening, if you don't know, director of Weapons from last year.
And Barbarian.
From a few years before that.
And soon to be Resident Evil.
Yeah. He's got a couple things cooking, I think, right now. It's edited by Dan Ray, who had been an editor for 6 episodes of Doctor Who. He did a 4-episode arc called Day of the Daleks and then Resurrection of the Daleks for 2 episodes. He also edited Smart Money in 86, Body Contact in 87, which was a rock musical, Paper House in 88, Chicago Joe and the Showgirl in 1990.
Whoa.
Split Second in 92 and Immortal Beloved in 94. The budget for this film is $8 to $9 million, and the box office was $25.8 million.
That didn't do bad.
Yeah, made some money. The director-writer, Bernard Rose, basically all the things that editor had done, the grand majority of it is his films. So he had directed Smart Money, which was a thriller in 86, Body Contact in 87, a dark fantasy Paper House in 88, Chicago Joe and the Showgirl is a crime drama, Immortal Beloved was a biographical film that I believe starred Gary Oldman as Beethoven.
Okay.
He did Anna Karenina, which is a period drama in 97. He did something called Snuff Movie in 05, which was a gothic horror film. Something called Sex Tape, a found footage film. He did a version.
So I'm sorry, he made a movie called Snuff Film and then a movie called Sex Tape.
Yeah,
I think that you don't understand what IMDb was saying. He made a snuff film and a sex tape.
I don't think that's what it was.
Okay, all right.
He made his a version of Frankenstein in 2015, and then he did a drama film in 2021 called Traveling Light, which also starred Tony Todd.
Okay.
Producer Steve Golan had done The Blue Iguana, which was a John Lafia film. John Lafia did Child's Play 2.
Okay.
He also produced Wild at Heart, which is a David Lynch film from 1990. He did the David Fincher film, The Game. He was the producer on Being John Malkovich, Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, and The Revenant with Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
The other producers Sigeron, however
Yep,
you say his
that
last
guy.
name. He had done a horror comedy called Hard Rock Zombies in 85. He also was a producer on The Blue Iguana and Wild at Heart. And then he would continue on with Candyman 2, Lord of Illusions, which was directed by Clive Barker, and then a horror film called Z for Zachariah. And then the third producer, Alan Pohl, was an executive producer. He did mainly TV stuff. So he was an executive producer on all the episodes of 6 Feet Under, a show called The Newsroom, 7 episodes of Westworld, and then his most recent is a show called Tokyo Vice that I've never heard of.
Yeah. Really quick, as a quick aside, I know we have on our bio, like, send us a cup of coffee or whatever, and there's ways that you can, like,
Support the show.
Provide a little bit of charitable support to us. A great way that you could do that is to DM us for my P.O. box number so that you can buy and send me all of the episodes of HBO's Westworld on Blu-ray, because it's the only way you can watch it. That's one of my favorite shows.
It's a good one. The music is done by Philip Glass, who had done the Italian horror film The Church. He would continue with his music's used in Candyman Farewell to the Flesh, which is Candyman 2. But he also is the composer on The Truman Show in 98.
Okay.
Secret Window, which was a Stephen King film in 04. The Illusionist, and the 2015 Fantastic Four film.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that one.
Well, the one thing no one says about that movie is the music's bad, because they can't listen to the music because they're so overstimulated that they're currently smashing a large nail into their forehead to release some of the pressure.
Yeah, that's how I typically watch it.
Why would you ever watch it more than the once?
The film, this film kind of came to, it happened because of a chance meeting between Bernard Rose and Clive Barker. Clive had just recently completed his own film adaptation of Nightbreed. Rose, he said that he had interest in Barker's story, The Forbidden, and Barker then agreed to license those rights. So, whereas, in the story, it revolved around themes of the British class system in, at the time, contemporary Liverpool, because Clive Barker is English. Rose chose to refit the story to instead focus on the themes of race and social class in inner city United States. Clive Barker, I think this is the first time we're really talking about him. About anything.
As a creator on the movie, not referencing his art or by him by name, yes.
He is a British artist, writer, filmmaker. He wrote an 85 horror film called Underworld. He wrote Rawhead Rex, a fantasy horror, in 86. And then he directed Hellraiser in 87, Nightbreed in 90, Lords of Illusion in 95. And then he is the executive producer on Candyman 1 and 2 and Hellraiser 2, 3, and 4. Rose was he was like shocked by Chicago's dynamic architecture and the large amount of prejudice that he saw there, and so that's why he decided to change the location from Liverpool to Chicago. And so with the help of members of the Illinois Film Commission, he scouted locations in Chicago and he found Cabrini-Green, which was a housing project notorious for its poor construction and then the violence and kind of gang activity in that area. It's located, between kind of high-class neighborhoods, which means they could write it into the story that Helen can see the chaos of Cabrini-Green from the safety of her own home nearby. So this kind of Americanization of the story turned Candyman into a interracial love story where the residents of the projects, as it was, are now victims of this titular killer. And Rose wanted to really showcase that those living in these poor neighborhoods are just regular people trying to get by. And so he really tried to avoid the tropes that were common in most American like ghetto stories, gangs and drugs and violence and everything like that in those ways.
Yeah.
And tackling,
which I think this does really well.
Yeah. Yeah. There are, there were a number of people who were kind of unhappy with this movie when it first came out, thinking that it was just kind of taking advantage of those tropes. And I don't see it that way personally.
I don't think I see it much more as something meant to kind of shine spotlights on like how unfair it is for the people at that time period there, much more than it's taking advantage of anybody.
Right. I agree. Rose's screenplay garnered a huge amount of attention, and so Virginia Madsen and Tony Todd instantly tried to get parts, wanting to work with the filmmaker. Tony Todd, who was fit for playing the killer because he's 6'5", very physically fit at the time, and he's in interviews he's recalled that there was some skepticism by his colleagues about him playing in Candyman because of the number of bee stings that he was probably going to get. And so, he said that he really wanted to work with his director and, quote, "I've always wanted to find my own personal Phantom of the Opera."
Yeah.
So that was very much his want there to kind of put his own stamp on a character.
And I firmly believe that the only reason that this character exists in the way that it does and made such a cultural wave is because of him.
Oh,
it doesn't exist without him.
And not only in his performance, but also in the storytelling, because in the original story, I guess the Candyman's background is unknown. And so Todd came up with a backstory for this character so that he would have the motivation going forward.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So 3 days of the filming was actually spent on Cabrini-Green, while the others were spent on, Hollywood sound stages.
Yeah.
They had plainclothes law enforcement on their side whenever they went into the buildings of Cabrini, and kind of researching the roles, but also shooting there for, different hallway scenes and some of the apartments, the staircases especially. Apparently the producers had to make deals with the ruling gang members of the area just to keep the peace. They put them in as extras in the movie. So I don't know if that means the group of guys who are,
like in the bathroom or kind of catcalling as they walk in.
Yeah. I don't know if it means them or just kind of in the crowds and things like that more so. But yeah, apparently there were some actual gang members used as extras. Even with this arrangement, they talk about how even on the last day of filming in the area, that a sniper had put a bullet through the roof of one of their production vans. Nobody was hit, but they came in and found, the hole and the bullet embedded in the floor of the van.
Jesus.
And I guess it was just, I don't know if it was just a, last little warning. Of
okay, you're done.
Yeah,
you got to go.
Wrap and get out of here. To play Candyman, Tony Todd tried to act as a, quote, primeval boogeyman without overacting the part, which was very tricky to do. He had worked with Bob Keane. Bob Keane had done the special effects on Hellraiser 1, 2, and 3. He would also work on Nightbreed, Event Horizon, and then later he does effects on Dog Soldiers. But he had worked with Bob Keane on Candyman's look. So Keane had first wanted Todd to wear a machine-controlled fake arm, but he found that the movements were too strict. They weren't really getting the effect that they wanted out of that. And so then he came up with the idea of having him wear the hook to give Candyman kind of a supernatural, item, if you will. He looks otherworldly. They spent... Initially, they had reached out to a blacksmith to make the hook.
Okay.
And he did the work over the course of a few days. And they went back to it. And they told him, they were like, yeah, it's going to be used in a movie. They need it to look like this. They need to be able to do these things because, they're going to run blood tubes up the side of it or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they got a blacksmith to make it. They go back and it's beautiful. It's perfect. Exactly what they need. And he's like, hey, what is this for again? And they were like, oh yeah, it's this movie called Candyman. It's based on a story by Clive Barker. And he apparently takes it and puts it in a drawer and closes it. And he goes, you guys can leave. You're not going with this. And they were like, well, why? What do you mean? And he's like, he starts quoting the Bible at them. And apparently he was super religious. And he was like, the work that man has done, Clive Barker, you guys are the work of evil. Get out of my shop. And so they had to leave.
So they got gay marriage wedding caked?
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Man, religion and the things that it's done to society are great. And I'm happy for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy about the way the world is and how organized religion has affected it. All positive.
Yeah. Only positive things.
Yeah.
To keep the budget low, Rose had instructed the special effects manager, Martin Bresson, to use traditional effects instead of like optical effects as much as possible. It was the same team who had worked on Backdraft in 91. They designed the set for the bonfire scene at the end, using like 1,500 gallons of propane, and then like the largest sections of that fire going up 70 feet in the air, or
Wow.
70 feet wide, I should say, 30 feet in the air.
Okay, I was about to say, Jesus.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So probably the biggest thing when it comes to like effects, if you will, the bees.
Oh, yeah.
The honeybees in Candyman were controlled by Norman Gary, he was a bee handler. He had previously worked on some films, The Deadly Bees in 1966. He had also worked on My Girl in 1991.
Oh, God.
And Fried Green Tomatoes, also in 1991. They used a synthesized bee queen, like pheromone. And so that would allow them to, whenever they needed the bees to be on a person or on a thing, like in the toilet,
You get them to
bathroom
swarm,
scene,
yeah.
you know, you could put droplets of that in there and they would go to there and just kind of hang out. But because it smelled like a queen, they weren't, you know, it didn't make them want to attack.
Right.
They just wanted to like just hang out.
Yeah, it's my understanding that bees typically the only way that they'll attack is if they or what they're up to, like their community, are threatened in any way, or if they are like startled.
Right.
They will do that. And it's like you have different because there's those videos from years ago where people would just go and pick handfuls of bees up, and it's like, Jesus Christ, but they're fine. They're fat, they're fuzzy, they have little butts. I love bees.
Yeah.
And protect the bees, guys. Protect the
Absolutely.
bees, protect the dolls. Release the list.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's our slogan now.
Oh, God, no. That's too cool.
The film used more than 200,000 real bees throughout throughout the shooting. Anytime they were using those in scenes, they had to do it on like a tented set to keep the bees enclosed. And then all of the crew had to wear bodysuits to be protected. Now, Tony Todd had negotiated in his contract
It's like the most famous fun fact of this movie. Yeah.
a bonus of $1,000 for any bee sting that he got.
How much money did he make?
Apparently, over the course of the 3 films, he has had 23 bee stings.
Jesus.
So just that alone, man.
Yeah.
He made some good money.
$23,000 is a pretty good car, especially like late 90s. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Driving a Beamer.
In shooting the film's climax, where Candyman sends the bees into Helen's face, he first had the bees placed in his mouth using a protective like mouthpiece that was kind of like almost dentures to fit his teeth, and then I think silicone to
Like
kind
a
of
dental dam, yeah,
basically. And so and that was just to keep the bees from going down his throat. And so the bee handler had used freshly hatched bees that were less than 12 hours old, so that they would look like full-grown bees, but they were like non-flying, non-stinging, because their stingers hadn't fully formed yet.
Why is that so fucking cute?
I know. They just are, man.
It's a big old dude dressed up in a coat. And that's the other thing, is that the costume, the wardrobe is so good for him, and he strikes such an imposing figure. But they also, because you had mentioned that he didn't want to overact it, and he also didn't want to undersell it. And I think that's like, even in his appearance, they didn't underdo it. He looks like, period. That coat is all consuming. It's otherworldly. The bees, and the chest, like his skeleton being kind of, you can see it through the torn up chest.
Yeah, it's an
fibers.
amazing look.
But they didn't overcook it at all.
No.
It's like he's just got a regular face. His eyes are normal. He doesn't have like a hat or any weird shit on him.
Yeah, you would think with a coat that nice that they would have put him in they would have found a hat that really worked with the look.
Like the mask.
Yeah.
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 But if the mask had bees.
But that is important to kind of note, is that, they didn't put any sort of like makeup or prosthetics on his face at all. It's just Tony Todd. So that also kind of puts him separate from most of the slasher. He's not burned like Freddy or deformed in any way, or he's not wearing a mask of any kind.
Yeah, he's just a beautiful, beautiful, very tall, beautiful man.
Yes. The Virginia Madsen was very allergic to bees, so much so that and she had told the director that, and he was like, "No, you're not." And she was like, no, I promise you I am. And so they went and had her tested. And yes, she was very allergic to bees and wasps. And so they had to have like emergency people on standby anytime she was in a bee scene.
It is insane, though, when you consider the fact that Tony Todd was covered in fucking bees for 3 movies back to back to back, and he only got 23 stings.
Yeah.
Probably months of combined shooting efforts with, days of work with these bees.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
I think it speaks to, one, like you said, bees are not inherently,
aggressive.
Thank you. And I think it lends itself to the bee handler.
A purist,
just knowing how to do that.
I tell you what, man, talking about our lead being so allergic to them, our question from last week when we kind of posed it to the audience, fucking Candyman gets 1 bee at Macaulay Culkin, he's out. So it's definitely Candyman wins that fight.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And finally, Rose also utilized hypnosis to work around what he saw as like a cliche in horror films of like excessive screaming. He didn't really want that effect from our lead. And so he came up with the idea to have Virginia Madsen hypnotized in the scenes where she was actually confronted by Candyman. And so they went to a hypnotist and had her she didn't believe it at first, but apparently like it worked in some way. And it would almost put her in some kind of trance. And the hypnotist gave Bernard Rose a keyword that he could use to quickly kind of put her there for the scenes and then work her back out of it. And so that's what kind of gives her the just that look in her eye that is so otherworldly. And that she's not losing it and screaming most of the time. She has those moments, of course.
Yeah. Especially when she wakes up having whatever happened. That I think is the factor of their romance, because they don't have a romance, but it is. Do you know what I mean? It's never specified, but there's that tension between the two of them. And that is so Phantom of the Opera-y to me. I didn't mean for that to rhyme.
Yeah, but it did.
It did, and I'll never live that down. I was my own victim.
Helen.
Yes?
Helen.
Who is that? Who is that?
Helen, I came for you.
Do I know you?
No. But you doubted me.
I'm sorry, I have to go.
No need to leave yet.
But I'm late.
You are not content with the stories, so I was obliged to come. Be my victim. Be my victim.
Now, of course, be my victim there is a hilarious joke because of bees.
Yeah, that's a pun.
Man, I don't know what it is about Clive Barker and his obvious fetish of women being hunted by a monster because of their own actions. I don't know what that is, but you didn't believe the story, so I was obliged to come is the exact same sentiment as you opened the box, we came.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, man. The only difference is that Pinhead is covered in pins and Candyman is covered in bees.
Yeah. Which attract the candy.
Is that it?
Sure.
It's the candy is bit of honey. And he's just I'm the candy man.
Delicious.
Yeah. Right out of the way, I think we should get that. I think we should rip that Band-Aid off pretty quickly. There is so much about him as a character.
Yeah.
There are so many different things about him that It's like, I was kind of doing this thought experiment earlier of like, you know, most horror iconic characters you can kind of describe with a
Boil
sentence.
down to a
Chucky, serial killer transfers his soul into a doll. Michael, psycho child kills his sister, gets out of an insane asylum 20 years later. You know, typically you have, and there are outliers, but Candyman is definitely an outlier. It's like his name is Candyman, but that has next to nothing to do with him as a general character.
Right.
He's covered in bees. That's how he died. But he also has a hook hand because they cut off his hand first.
Yeah.
And he needs you to believe in him.
and say his name 5 times in a mirror.
And you have to do that. That's like an actual part of it. It's not a superstition. And there's so many different things to him. And that's what I meant towards the top of this episode is like, that is one of the things I think that if this were a different movie, I would have fallen off of it. I'd be like, that's way too many cooks. It's too confusing. I don't know why. It just works here.
Yeah.
It's like, legends change, they grow. I don't think that he would ever call himself Candyman. I think the name is given to him, so of course it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And, you know, sweets for the sweet. And, you know, he says he's got a handful of catchphrases, be my victim. And there's so many things that surround him, but it almost feels, because of how they shot, where they shot, because of the performances all feeling so ground level and so believable and lived in, it's like your mind is already working to accept the averageness of the story. So it's like, oh yeah, all of these things being superstition born over hundreds of years. It's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm willing to accept that a little bit better than if it was like Freddy, but they called Freddy like the tow truck guy. And he wasn't burned because of perversions. He was burned because he had like a gambling, you know what I mean? Like that would be too much.
It would be too much.
Yeah, but he's just called Freddy and he got burnt up because he's a sex pest.
We did.
Do you remember the early episodes of Freddy where you were like, no, he's not. And then we got to the end and you were like, no, yeah.
Yeah, it was a mystery and we solved it. Okay, so we start with some bees and some voiceover. I love any, like you said, he's got like not really catchphrases, but just anything that he says, I want to hear.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like, we went back and forth a couple times on a clip to play for this episode. And it's like the one that we just played isn't the most dialogue-y, a lot of sound effects, which typically don't translate very well on a podcast, but it's like, who the fuck cares? Because after you wait a few seconds to hear some squelchy noises, you get to hear him talk again. He's got the best voice ever. Yeah. I mean, eventually we'll go over some of his credits, but I mean, for those of you who don't know, Tony Todd is the voice of Venom in the second Spider-Man video game for the PS5. And it's like, yeah, you just want to cut all the gameplay out. It's like, just get back to that. I want to hear him talk because it's haunting. It's powerful. I think that's the word I would use is powerful. It rattles your speakers. And it's wonderful.
We're introduced first off the bat here to Helen Lyle, who is an anthropology graduate student at the University of Illinois in Chicago. She's played by Virginia Madsen, who is in David Lynch's Dune in 1984. Okay. She plays Princess Irulan, who is played by Florence Pugh in the Denis Villeneuve version. Okay. She was also in Zombie High in 87. She's in Highlander 2, apparently in 1991. She's in the fantasy horror film The Prophecy in 95. I believe Christopher Walken is in that. She is in The Haunting, the adaptation that happened in 99. She is in, you mentioned this before, she was in The Number 23.
Are you serious?
2007.
What the fuck?
And then she was in a Christmas horror film that I've never watched, but I've heard good things, called Better Watch Out in 2016.
Okay, but I'm starting to feel like Jim Carrey in 23. Because it's like, oh, and she was in 23. And it's like, how did I say that before?
I don't know, man.
These coincidences. I'm going to have to dive out into traffic. It's too much.
Is that how you solve it?
Too much conspiracy.
She listens to, I love this opening scene.
Yeah.
Because it does such legwork for telling us, the audience, like revealing that this movie is about urban legends, the idea of it. It's what she is studying. but it's also introduces us specifically to Candyman's legend.
Right. It gets that out of the way. It gets what your main character is doing and what the theme of the movie is in like 4 lines of dialogue, like 4 sentences.
And we get this cool little scene.
Intro. Yeah. Where bees blot out the sun. Because Candyman is a billion bees.
Yes. But it's the little scene with the couple, and they go up to the bathroom mirror and they're going to say Candyman's name and they chicken out. And the main thing here is that Billy, played by Ted Raimi.
He is great in this because he does what Ted Raimi does best, which is he's a creep. He's a titty squeezing, weird leather jacket biker guy. And he's just like, he's saying Candyman in the mirror and his girlfriend's getting all like judged up about it. And he's honking her chest like a psychopath. And then he gets murdered. Well, no, she technically gets murdered. I assume he gets murdered.
Yeah.
Is she somebody? She seemed familiar.
Clara is played by Mariana Elliott. And the only, I don't know her from anything.
Okay.
The only like horror thing she was in is something in 97 called Alien Nation, the Adara Legacy.
That's my favorite
But
movie.
I have no idea.
Yeah, no. She probably just looks like somebody else. But yeah, Ted Raimi goes downstairs and then she gets murdered. And I love it because it's the scream. This movie does not shy away from, oh, somebody's dead in this scene. Okay. And they just pull out another metal gallon bucket and dump blood out on the floor.
Apparently that was like a Bernard Rose thing.
It's believable.
Where the actors have described it just like, if he didn't think a scene was bloody enough, he was the one that's just like, no, more blood. More blood.
Well, and it pays off. I'm cutting way ahead, but the scene where the dog's been decapitated.
Oh, yeah.
And she wakes up. She is in a puddle of blood, and it has saturated her clothing. It's in her hair, and it's like, yeah, shit bleeds.
Yeah.
We're filled with a bunch of blood.
Yeah.
So, no, I think it's effective, but it starts to seep through the ceiling of this apartment building. You made the funniest fucking joke when we were watching this. You were like, yeah, that's Ted Raimi. It's hard to recognize him without all the sweat pouring out of his ear. And if you don't get that joke, go back and listen to all of our episodes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say which one.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good tease.
It's my Candyman hook.
I get it.
Yeah.
So yes, Helen is researching urban legends, and she kind of falls into the rabbit hole of the Candyman story. Candyman, in a lot of ways, kind of combines elements of 2 real urban legends that are out there. We've talked about urban legends with Black Christmas and something else that I'm forgetting right now.
The obvious one is Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary.
But I don't know what the other one would be.
It's a urban legend, it's typically called like the Hook, but it's about a killer with a hook for a hand who attacks a couple in a parked car.
Are you talking about the hash slinging slasher?
Yeah, that's the one.
That's pretty cool.
And so, but it's kind of a mixture of those 2 things, which I also like because it is like, we're going to take elements from these multiple stories, but then make it into something unique and original.
Yeah, I like that. It's like a blender of, the best parts of something. I think that's why I like Victor Crowley so much, because Victor Crowley's another good, which is another coincidence, and we'll get there eventually. But no, I like Victor Crowley because it's like, it's all the best parts of all the horror stuff that you loved when you were young. Yep. And they smashed it together and made something that is insane.
Other urban legends that are kind of mentioned here is they don't really, you get the very tail end of this, and it's this guy talking to Helen's friend Bernadette, and he's like talking about a woman roasting a baby like a turkey, and I think that is a urban legend about somebody who puts a baby in a microwave. And then they also, Helen goes into her husband's class where he's also teaching about urban legends, and they're talking about alligators in the sewer. And he kind of talks about, urban legends are modern oral folklore, things that are told at bedtime or around the campfire or things like that. Trevor Lyle is Helen's husband. He's played by Xander Berkeley, who was in an 88 horror film called Deadly Dreams. He was in The Guardian in 1990, a horror film. He's in Terminator 2, apparently. And then most recently, or more recently, I should say, he was in The Dark and the Wicked, which is a 2020 supernatural horror film. I think it's a Shudder original, and it is one that I watched a couple years ago. It is bleak.
Yeah.
Bleak. There are no happy endings here, but it's good. So Helen meets up with her husband in his class, and this is our first accusation that she makes toward him of having an affair with one of his students named Stacy.
Yeah. Now, apparently, and this is just another urban legend, but apparently Trevor's a piece of shit. He is very dismissive of that, and you can tell on her face how much she is like, okay, fine, and is just willing to move past it because she just wants to be happy with him. Yeah. And it's, I don't know, it's another layer of heartbreak to this story that pays off really well at the end of it.
Exactly. And also in this scene, it's like she, is like, why are you doing? I've asked you not to cover urban legends until we were done with our thesis,
right?
Because like you're kind of undercutting us, and so it's that sort of thing of. He sells it as, why am I, it's part of the curriculum. I can't hold up everyone else's education just for your work.
Though it is odd because why the fuck is he teaching a class about urban legends? Because he very much seems to be a lawyer.
I mean, I don't get that at all.
In later scenes where they're talking about her and what will happen to her, he's like, well, they're going to try you for this, but there's no way that that's going to stick because it's more accurate than this. And it's like all legalese and all of this jargon. And it's like, why does a fucking humanities professor know this much about murder? Oh, because he's a murderer too.
Oh,
because he's a piece of shit.
He is a piece of shit.
I mean, it is possible for him to be educated in multiple things. I mean, I just assumed that up until this point, I hadn't connected those two things.
Gotcha. So Helen's kind of going over her notes and a recording of the Candyman story, and she's overheard by a cleaning lady. Henrietta Mosley is her name because she gives us her full name. She's played by Barbara Alston. She is in or was in Jaws the Revenge in 1987. Okay. And then she grabs another cleaning lady who is like even closer to the Candyman story, or like things that have happened to do with Candyman and Cabrini-Green. Kitty Culver is her name, also given a full name here. Serena C. Grant is her actress, and she would be in The Howling in 1981.
Okay, if you had said another Jaws movie, I was going to lose my mind.
Yeah, no, we're not that lucky.
It's like all the cleaning ladies in Clive Barker movies come from Jaws.
Right.
That's just a fact.
That is a known fact.
It's a known movie production thing.
But Henrietta and Kitty kind of talk to Helen because they know of someone who was killed in Cabrini-Green, the public housing in the projects, by quote unquote Candyman.
Yeah. They're all convinced that it was a murder done by this monster.
Yes. The story given is that Ruthie Jean, someone who lives at Cabrini-Green, was taking a bath, heard someone coming through the walls, and she called the police. They did not show up. And, until, I don't know, whenever they finally showed up, I guess I should say, she had been murdered by someone with a hook. She had been gutted. And so this draws Helen into researching that murder and several other murders that had been attributed to Candyman in the area.
Yeah.
She, talks about this with her friend and colleague, Bernadette Walsh, who's played by, I don't know if it's Cassie or Casey, but Lemons is her last name. She was in the horror comedy Vampire's Kiss in 1989 with Nick Cage. She was in The Silence of the Lambs. And then she is in the Southern Gothic horror film Eve's Bayou in 1997, which she also wrote and directed. Because she started as an actress and then she's gone on to direct some stuff.
I am just now piecing together that she is in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's interesting. It's one of those faces that I just assumed that I knew from TV. But no, that's really interesting. Yeah, the whole discussion of the two of them about wanting to go to this woman's murder scene and wanting to go to Cabrini-Green and being there. Bernadette's like, you want to go there? I don't even drive past there. Yeah. And it is this sort of the dichotomy of this of privilege versus reality, where Bernadette's like, you think that's a tourist destination, but it's not. It's a grim reality, and you don't need to involve yourself because it is specifically dangerous.
Yeah.
You, a woman, want to go to this dangerous place to research another woman's murder? Because the person who murdered that woman is probably somewhere around there.
Exactly. And like when she first brings it up is just like, this isn't one of your stories.
Yeah.
Like this is a real thing that happened to a real person. Like they are dead now.
Yeah. And I think I really like Helen's growth throughout this, but this is that very beginning phase where it's the eager, naive, idealistic, go-getter. And man, that gets snuffed out fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Bernadette also mentioned in this scene that like when they first bring up Cabrini-Green, she's like, yeah, a kid was just recently killed there.
Yeah, she's like, I think days ago.
Yeah. Apparently,
to which Helen replies, by the way, like, yeah, it happens all the time.
Yes, it is so nonchalant of just like, well, yeah, that's expected.
Yeah, and it's like it is that classist and that racist approach of like, well, yeah, but that's just the way it is over there. And it's like, yeah, but those are people. It's very much the Middle Eastern conflict of like, well, yeah, but casualties, blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, but those are human lives,
right? And it's the systems in place that have put them in those situations.
Yeah. I like Helen because I like Helen as a protagonist in this movie because she is so flawed and so just kind of socially like kind of stupid. Like she is smart and capable and resourceful, but it's like socially she just doesn't anytime that you have to navigate a difficult social situation, she like smashes through it with cones or can't see the forest through the trees that her husband is obviously cheating.
Yeah. And it ends up putting her in
a worse way at the end.
Yeah. And in places that like she's in over her head or she doesn't understand the gravity of the situation that it could be.
Her ambition and assumption that things will work out and that she will like kind of win the day is exactly and precisely what leads her to her fate. You open the box. You did all of the things that required you at any point where you could have seen this is a bad idea, you went, but I'm gonna be fine, and you did it anyway.
Yeah.
Which isn't to say that she did anything wrong per se.
No.
But it is, I don't think Candyman's interested in right and wrong. I think Candyman's interested in like put some, you need to put me out there because you have now diminished me, and I won't accept that because he's a vengeful spirit. He's also fucking tall.
Yeah. I love this like architecture of her discovering that the building that she currently lives in was originally built as a project as well. And then whenever they realized, the city planners realized like, oh, well, we don't have, this is like right here in the middle of all the rest of the city. There's nothing to keep the, low lifes, quote unquote, away from us. There's not a highway. There's not a train. There's not something to keep them over there and us over here. And so they were like, okay, well, let's just like throw up some plaster and throw some paint on the walls, and we'll just call this high-end living and sell it as condos. But it allows her to then kind of do the sleuthing work of showing Bernadette like going into her own bathroom, and she pries the mirror off the wall, like the
medicine cabinet sort of bathroom above the sink mirror. Yeah.
And it's backed up immediately to the one in the adjoining apartment, but there's no wall in between, which I guess those buildings were truly built like that. Which
is insane.
Yeah.
Especially because, like with fire regulations and stuff, they're typically shared walls need to have quite a bit of stuff between them. So
the set decorator, she said that whenever they were doing scouting and they went there to Cabrini-Green, it's like, that's what they are. They're just cinder block walls that you could just hammer your way through. And so this was a very real thing that happened, is you could come home and your stuff was just gone because someone had broken through the wall into your apartment.
It's fucking crazy.
Even the murder, like somebody coming through the wall and killing somebody in the bathroom, like that was kind of based on a real thing that had happened in Chicago. They, after this interaction here, you know, they're kind of like, well, I'm not scared of this. I don't really believe in this. And they do, you know, they say the name 5 times in the mirror. And
well, importantly, Helen does. Bernadette peters out at the last one and refuses to do it.
Yes. I love their delivery in this, especially Helen's. Like there's just something about the cadence of it and then the pause before that 5th one, because it builds that suspense for just a moment of like, maybe you shouldn't.
Well, it's maybe you shouldn't. And then also it's the rug pull of expectation of the genre where you expect it immediately to happen. And for those, you know,
because we had been given an example with the story from before,
and then nothing does.
Yeah.
And there's no lesson immediately learned. There's no, you know, karma. And it then stretches its legs. The karma takes its time, has a big bucket of popcorn and waits for half a movie.
Yeah. Helen and Bernadette begin working on their thesis now, kind of shifting to the on how the Cabrini-Green residents are using the legend of the Candyman to kind of cope with racial inequality in the area and you know the things that are happening in their building, in their neighborhood.
It feels like a coping mechanism to get around the fact that they are being killed by people in their own building.
Right.
That there is always a risk of danger, and that danger is coming from within the building that you are paying money to live in. So yeah, it's really heartbreaking.
Yes.
But apparently it's both. It's both that and also a monster in a fur coat.
It is, which I love that kind of storytelling. I love that we have like a real world. This is the explanation for this. And this is the fantasy version of that, and which is actually true. Right. Which in a weird way is how the epilogue story in Stranger Things plays out.
Yeah.
I choose to believe.
I choose the commitment gate or whatever the fuck. Conformity gate.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's not real.
So they end up going to Cabrini-Green and they are harassed by gang members.
Rightfully so, too, because this is a very like black-centric neighborhood. They immediately distrust Helen. Yeah. And she's like, oh, well, I'm not a cop. And they're like, yeah, the fuck you are. Yeah. Get out. You're wearing like a suit coat, like a blazer coat. Get the fuck out of here. But they follow them for quite a bit. The group of it's like a group of like 5 or 6 guys at the ground floor of the building, and they kind of follow her around.
And like the set, I mean, I call it a set decoration, but it's just like this building. Yeah. And then whatever they built as a set to kind of look like this building, the amount of graffiti that is just
crazy
everywhere.
Yeah.
It feels like so much. These have existed for so long, and so much kind of like storied history behind like the different gangs, the different people moving through the area and kind of taking over and putting their own spin on things and tagging it.
From a Hollywood approach, graffiti means to our brain, because of movies and TV, graffiti means condemned. Graffiti means abandoned. But the thing is that the graffiti on this building was a lived-in building at the time. People lived there. It wasn't condemned. It's just nobody took care of it at all. Yeah. It's fucking crazy.
And the biggest piece of this in the main hallway is sweets to the sweet, which I believe is a line from Hamlet, if I'm not mistaken.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know really the context in it being used here from that, but
I can't read. So.
Right. Forget that about you.
I only do movies.
They visit the apartment of the latest recent murder that they spoke about. And sure enough, they find that the back of the medicine cabinet has been broken through from the next apartment. And so Helen, again, in that way of nothing bad can happen to me. I'm just gonna go through.
It's a blind sense of overconfidence mixed with a resourceful and ambitious, creative, like, oh, I need to know. Yeah. I need more information. And she does. She climbs through that fucking hole.
I can't imagine.
No. Fuck no.
Much in the same way that I would never be crawling down into a hole in the floor of my apartment building into a flooded ballroom to get my keys.
With those spooky skeletons.
I would never climb through a hole in the wall where a man could see it all.
I would never climb through a hole through a mirror in a bathroom in a murdered woman's apartment, knowing that the person who murdered her allegedly came through the wall.
Right.
Fuck no, you're walking into where the guy lives or is hiding out, or maybe you're going to find a body, or like, fuck no. Yeah. But then
There's nothing good that can come out of this.
Also, my last apartment that I lived in, my last apartment complex, it was pretty nice apartments. And if I found that the mirror in my bathroom opened to my neighbor's mirror in their bathroom, I'm not going in there either.
Yeah.
Because I respect their boundaries, but they didn't respect mine.
They came into your apartment?
No, they're just really fucking loud all the time.
Okay.
And yeah, they came in my apartment. They attacked me with a hook.
She ends up crawling. I love, again, the set decoration in here because she crawls through this like second hole in a wall, and when she comes out the other side, she is coming out of the mouth
of a graffitied Candyman.
Yeah.
All the walls have all like "Sweets to the Sweet" is written several more times. That's all over the place in graffiti in this movie. It's many times. But there are all kinds of pieces of graffiti. There's art of him and things and bees and all kinds of bees.
She finds like a coat on the ground that has a bunch of candy in it. And then she finds that candy has like razor blades in it.
Yeah.
There's not really explanation as to like, is this something that was left for Candyman by the people of the building?
Because like, are they trying to trick Candyman into eating a razor blade?
Yeah. Or is this something that like the guy who's calling himself Candyman has left as like a marker that like, yeah, I exist?
Oh yeah, maybe.
Like, is it a calling card or is it some kind of offering? I don't know.
Right before Candyman eats the razor blade chocolate, he's like, you know what I'm going to do? Just to make sure this chocolate's real, I'm going to mash it as hard as I can into my good arm. And then he just slices that arm off with the razor blade. He's like, fuck, I need a new hook. I need a guy who doesn't love Christ.
Call that Christian blacksmith.
And he's like, no. Because I'm also racist. I'm racist and I'm homophobic. It's all the things that, religion usually ends up with.
Yeah. But afterwards, they're introduced to, and they interview the neighbor of the victim, Anne Marie McCoy, who is a single mother raising her infant son, Anthony. Anne Marie is played by Vanessa Estelle Williams, and she was in much later than this. She did some TV stuff, but much later than this, she was in something called Ice Spiders in 2007. She was in a horror film called Thriller in 2018. And then apparently she is in the CW's The Flash for like 6 episodes. She plays Francine West, who is
Wally West's mom, I guess.
Something like that.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't like any of those shows.
Yeah, I haven't watched. I've seen the first season of Arrow.
I really tried. With Arrow and Flash, I really tried. I just couldn't handle it. This is because the guy who plays the Green Arrow is just a horrible actor, but it doesn't matter.
No. We cut to a dinner with Helen, her husband, Trevor, Bernadette, and then Professor Philip Purcell, who is apparently an expert on the Candyman myth.
Yeah. I called him Stephen Fraud.
Yes, which is very good.
Because he looks like as close as you can get to Stephen Fry without having broken your nose 30,000 times.
True. He's played by Michael Culkin. I don't know if he is I couldn't find a connection between him and Macaulay.
Well,
any of his
You better hope not, because fucking Candyman's coming after him next. Slip a bee into his steak.
But he reprises his role in Candyman 2, Farewell to the Flesh, and then he apparently is also in The Fifth Element. He gives us the backstory of Candyman as given in this film.
I will work my best to explain it in as few sentences as possible. Candyman was the son of a former slave, the former slave becoming very wealthy, inventing a device used to mass produce shoes. Candyman was then sent to a bunch of prestigious academies. He became an artist, a painter, and kind of left the South, went up north where he became something of like a cultural icon, where if you got a portrait done by him, it showed that you were super wealthy. So eventually, a very wealthy entrepreneur in Illinois paid to have him do a portrait of his daughter, whom he then fell in love with. He knocked her ass up because she was non-virginal, and she didn't wear protection in the assumedly early 1800s or whatever.
Sure.
It's her fault. That's I'm a man. I have to blame women. That's the thing I have to do. But no, she gets pregnant. Hate of their interracial love leads to his arm being sawed off with a rusty blade. Then him being smeared in honeycomb so that bees from whose hive had just been destroyed would attack him. He was stung to death, set ablaze, and his ashes sprinkled on then what eventually would become Cabrini-Green.
That is
again,
correct.
that is a lot. That is a lot of background for a character who has less than a dozen lines.
Yeah.
That is with no character arc. It is a monster. It's like Dracula gets away with it because Dracula was a real guy who hundreds of years, thousands of years of mythos was created about. But like that, you can't really do that with like the Invisible Man. It's like, he's a scientist. He turned himself invisible. You have to kind of keep it that way. This is a lot of information. I mean, this scene is like, it's 3 minutes of expository dialogue that just talks about how he died. And I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah.
Any other movie, and I would roll my eyes and be like, Jesus, I love it. It's so compelling and dark and sad.
Yes, it is. It is all of those things. It is just enough information to keep it interesting while not bogging us down too much, because like they don't even give him a name in this. Yeah, that's not until later. There's more details that are given in the next two movies.
Even if you knew none of this, if you knew he was a guy that when this was all gang, like Capone, when all of this shit was like mobland, he got killed in a bad business deal. So now he haunts Cabrini-Green. Great. It doesn't fucking matter. You didn't need to do any of that. But like, it's the little hints that you see from his wardrobe. It's hearing the story and the tragic, like he is the Phantom of the opera. It is a sad story told about somebody who then the only time we see is a violent killer.
Right.
It's great. I fucking love it. His performance, the professor's performance is great. But I hate looking at him because again, he looks so much like somebody that he then isn't, and he sounds like him. They should have just gotten Stephen Fry, honestly. He was a little younger, but they should have just gotten him.
Yeah. For a moment, whenever you were doing that retelling, you sounded a bit like the Brain Gremlin. And so I think they should have gotten the Brain Gremlin to play this part.
Never, ever tell me that I sound like him. Oh, is it because I said Louis or like Illinois or whatever? Yeah.
No, I think
just want civilization.
That's great.
I've been practicing, I guess. Fuck you. Fuck the Brain Gremlin. You and Charlie. You guys don't know. You guys don't know what accents are.
So Helen returns to Cabrini-Green, where she finds that why can I never remember her name? Anne Marie is not at home, and so instead she bumps into this young boy named Jake.
One take, Jake.
Who is played by an actor named Dewan Guy, who was apparently like his first thing he was ever in was in Boys in the Hood, but unfortunately his scene got cut.
Oh,
and so then he did a string of like one episode of all these different TV shows.
Sure.
But then in '94, a couple years after this, he was in Little Giants, which is a movie I watched I owned as a kid.
I love that movie.
Yeah. So he's one of the kids in that. But he hasn't done a ton of other work really.
Just a youthful ambition.
Because he's good. Like the little bit that he's in this, I really like his character.
He's got great reaction takes.
Yes.
Where like he sees something because he never goes too big. Nope. He never goes too small. You can always see the emotion, but he's a good kid actor. Yes. I like him.
For what they use him for, I think he's really good. Honestly, there is like most of the performances in this movie are good.
I struggle to think of a bad one.
Stacy is the bad one to me.
Stacy, I don't see Stacy as a bad performance.
Yeah?
No, I see Stacy as a great performance for a dumb kid.
Okay. That's probably fair.
That I guarantee that woman that plays her is not like that at all, but she plays just this affected, miserable, kind of slutty college girl who has thrown herself into this life that she fucking hates by the end of it. Now, granted, we just jumped literally to the end of the movie.
Right.
Where Candyman drives a race car.
Yeah.
He's
Get ready for that, guys.
Oh, dude, he's shifting gears with the hook. Oh, wait. Yeah, the hook's on the right hand. Yeah, he's shifting gears with the hook, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but NASCAR wouldn't build him a car because they're Christians.
So Jake tells her of an incident where a developmentally disabled boy was, he was like shopping with his mother at one of the shops nearby.
Oh, yeah.
And he needs to use the bathroom. And so he goes across the street to the public restroom there.
Uh-huh.
And he is apparently
found.
Yes. Castrated by Candyman.
Yeah. Now, two things about this. Number one, that whole sequence is shot in like obvious, like flashback sepia. And it's so cliche.
Yeah, that is where the performances are like over the top.
Yeah, but it's like it works.
And it's from a kid's point of view,
right?
Telling the story.
But then also the other thing, and I pointed this out to you when we were watching it today, Jake is probably like 4 years old.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 years old. And he's like, and he took his ding-a-ling and there ain't no reason to live after that. And it's like, you're 5. What do you mean? You should only be using it to use the bathroom.
Yeah. That's very important whenever you're a kid.
It's a weird line for a very young child to be like, man, your dick is the most important thing in the world. It's like, whoa.
What I chalked it up to, honestly, is he has heard
people
adults
say exactly that. That's fair.
Yeah. So we get that. And so Helen, again, pushes forward into a situation which he probably shouldn't.
She goes into the middle of what is essentially a scrap yard where there is a public bathroom. She goes into the bathroom. Now, I said this to you today. If this was a Horror Nights house, this would be the poo room.
Yes, it would.
Because it is covered in shit. Literal shit that they've written messages in.
Including sweets
for the sweet. Which is odd because I don't want to see that written in feces, but that's fine. She then opens the toilet, the furthest toilet to the left, and it is filled to the brim with bees.
Yeah.
Probably 1,000 bees. And they, in one voice, say, occupied. And she goes, oh, sorry, bees. She leaves. That happens.
It does. I love that.
But she goes to leave, and a man in a long leather trench coat and a series of other people, maybe some of the extras that we discussed, because it seems like it's the same. It is the same vibe of the people that kind of impede her and Bernadette in the first time that they go to the Cabrini-Green. It's the same kind of.
Yeah, they're wearing different clothing. Like maybe different colors or whatever.
The same amount of people. Yes. They kind of form that same little like semicircle, which feels very lived in again. It feels like, hey, why are you the fuck here? We followed you in here. You don't need to be here. And she's like, oh, well, I'm not a cop. And this is one of my fucking favorite lines of this movie from an ironic way. She's like, oh, no, I'm not a cop. I'm from the University of Illinois. And they're like, I don't give a fuck. What are you? Why are you telling us this? We're here to take your money and maybe kill you. I don't know. But he's got this big leather coat, the kind of leader of this little group. And he also has like a butcher's hook in his hand. And he's like, you looking for Candyman? Well, you found him. And that is the fake out of like, oh, this is Candyman. Oh, shit. Okay. I thought Candyman was like a real, like, I thought the urban legend thing was going to be real. But no, it's just him. And he hits her in the head pretty hard with it. And she falls down. Yeah. And then they leave. And then Jake comes in and he's like,
I told you.
I fucking warned you. You idiot. You hack. You stupid person. She's like not unconscious yet. She's like, what the fuck?
I'm never going to go to college now because I see what it'll get me. She ruined Jake's life.
Yeah.
His whole future.
And Jake was going to be an astrophysicist.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now
he was going to cure space cancer.
Like Macaulay Culkin at one point. Now he's a sandwich artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've done this bit where it's like we say a thing, give it the beat, and then start going again.
Too ridiculous.
Let me
we
tell
have
you,
to just.
It's never not funny.
She identifies her attacker at the police station.
Yeah.
And they charge him. They recognize him finally as the head of the kind of local gang who runs the area, and they charge him for all these different murders that have been attributed to Candyman, including Ruthie Jean and the kid that Bernadette had mentioned earlier. This is where we meet, and he only pops up a couple of times, Detective Frank Valento, who's played by Gilbert Lewis, who apparently was the king of cartoons in Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Okay.
So
interesting.
It was a Pee-wee tie.
Yeah.
But this is one of those things where like they've just been waiting on somebody to
testify.
Yeah.
To be willing to point a finger. Nobody in that neighborhood would, but then they finally nailed him. But then Jake is like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what you've just done to me? And she's like, well, no, he's going to go away. He's not going to hurt you. And Jake's like, yeah, but Candyman's going to now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the first big clue that she receives of like, oh, do they not think that that's Candyman?
Right.
And it's just interesting, that subtle detail.
Yes, because it is whenever we first kind of get introduced to that Cabrini-Green plays into any of this with the cleaning ladies from before. Like, it's the way that they say like, oh yeah, Candyman, he lives over at Cabrini-Green. And it's like, he lives there?
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? If he's this urban legend that I just talked to a student about.
Right.
And so it's playing with the idea of like, what is reality and what is, legend.
Is there anything supernatural about this, or is it easy to explain?
Yeah. Well, luckily, a few days later, the real Candyman does appear.
Yeah. The only thing I think that's worth mentioning in between that is that Helen, as she's recovering from her black eye, makes Trevor dinner. And he's a fucking piece of shit. And he doesn't want to eat food with her that she made. And she's like, what, are you not hungry? Because my assumption is that he's already eaten.
Yes. That's what I would think.
He's eating a bag of shit. I fucking hate Trevor. Anyway, yeah. So this is our clip. More or less.
The parking lot scene. We get our first big reveal of Candyman in his true form.
God, he strikes such an amazing silhouette here. Because he's standing off in the distance, like from one end of the parking garage to the other. And there's the skies behind him. So he's, kind of blacked out from the shadow from the daylight into his form, sheltered by this parking garage. But it's just that coat and the way he stands. He's got kind of lighter pants, and it is just, he's so clearly big. Do you know what I mean? He's huge, and that voice just booming out of nowhere.
It's I think the mix for his voice is really well done on the Blu-ray that I have. And the other interesting thing with the sound in this scene is whenever he walks, his footsteps make no noise. He is otherworldly in that way. But Candyman, as we've said, is played by Tony Todd. He was in Night of the Living Dead, the 1990 remake version, directed by Tom Savini. He was in The Crow in 94. He's in Wishmaster, the fantasy horror film from 97. He is in the Final Destination franchise, all but one of them. Which is the worst one in the franchise. I wonder why. He would be in Hatchet 1, 2, and the like legacy sequel, Victor Crowley.
Yes. He
is in Bernard Rose's 2015 Frankenstein.
Okay.
And then he was in the 2018 slasher Hellfest. And then he obviously reprises his role in Candyman Farewell to the Flesh in 95 and Candyman Day of the Dead in 99.
And then I think it's just his voice, and eventually we'll get there, but he is then in the kind of requel, I think, just as a cameo.
It's a very brief cameo there.
Yeah.
And this is where, well, obviously it's the first interaction between Helen and Candyman here. So this is where we get her in that kind of hypnotized trance.
It is. And they flash between her and footage. And I've never been able to tell what this footage is from.
No.
In the sequels, it's kind of revealed a bit of like who she is in relation to him. And I wondered if they were setting that up because I watched
Right.
them all back to back to back.
Yeah.
But I don't think so in retrospect. I think it's just
The
supposed
way
to
that the
be.
light's flashing, it looks like later when we see the baby in his like hideout.
I was going to say,
But-
it looks like her in the hideout.
Yeah.
But, and being overwhelmed by the gravitas of that big mural of him. But oh my God, between them as he just continues to walk. And this is also where we kind of get what he wants, which is another thing that's a bit complicated. It's not your normal Dracula wants, Mina or Lucy or whomever. Dracula wants the girl.
He wants a lady.
Right. For however many reasons he's lustful over her, or there is, you are a reincarnated, version of my love or whatever. It's usually, again, you can boil it down pretty clearly, but this is now your work in getting this guy caught has now lessened the impact of the fear that people have. He calls the people that live in Cabrini-Green his congregation.
Yes.
And it's like, you've diminished the power over my legend to these people. And now I can feel myself fading.
Yes.
So I am now having to come here to fucking kill you so that people believe in me again.
Yeah. Which is very, to me, it is very much a Freddy versus Jason of Freddy needs people to believe in him so he has power. So he sends Jason to do killing. And I feel like it works that way with Candyman, where he's like, oh, this guy who's a gangbanger has taken on my name and my like pieces of my legend. He wears the coat, he uses a hook, and he kills people in my name, not realizing that I am real.
Right.
And everything that he does makes me stronger.
But now it's not like it's not like he's consuming souls to take over the world.
Right.
It's just it allows him to cling to the world. It allows him to cling to, he has not moved on. Obviously, he's a vengeful spirit. But something that I also enjoy is that as you watch this movie, because I watched this movie really in depth over the, and I'll say this from time to time, but watching it with an academic lens is always different from watching it recreationally. And so now I am looking again at that very recent revival of this franchise. And it's the sequence in that film, and we're going to talk about it. We'll get into it eventually, but where you see all of the different Candymans, and it's like, how long had he been doing this? Yeah. Does he just show up, kill someone, start the legend again so that someone will do it more often? And it's like, be my victim is such a good line because it's like, your life is now forfeit, but if you let me do this, you, like me, will live forever. Yeah. Your legend will outlive you. Some of the best spoken lines of the movie come from this sequence. No, it's not this sequence, it's later on, but it's ours will be a story that make children shiver at night and make lovers embrace tighter. And it's like, he just needs that sort of catalyst to bring himself back into what is essentially like this area's zeitgeist. And he's just, it's spoken so poetically and none of it's aggressive. None of it's violent. They call him a horror movie monster and he is, but it is so much more like Dracula. And it's, oh God, I love it. I love everything about his performance here and hers too, by the way.
Yes.
She's fantastic.
She is so good. She blacks out here and wakes up.
This is so fucked.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. She wakes up in the floor of the bathroom of Anne Marie's apartment in Cabrini-Green, who's got the baby. And she wakes up, and like I said earlier, she's just covered in blood. Now, what I will say is that the set design for this apartment is fantastic. It's something we had a big problem with last week in Inferno was the kind of vibe and the general feel. You can tell when you are in when you're in Helen's apartment. And though it is, from what I can tell, the exact same floor layout, just decorated differently.
That's the whole point.
You can tell that you're in her apartment. Things are dirtier. They're cheapened. And it's because, obviously she's income restricted. So is the place. The place is falling apart. But she wakes up in this bathroom, and the first thing that you notice is like as she kind of stirs is like, oh, where is she? This is so much different than her bathroom.
And you hear screaming through the walls.
And then things pan out, and she is laying on a water bed of blood.
Yeah.
Like, it is so much fucking blood. She gets up and she's like, what the fuck? And she opens the door, and there's the severed head of her Rottweiler and a butcher knife.
It's a great looking head.
It is. Oh, it is. It is as good. It is as good a dog head as the head that grows weird snail eyes and runs away in The Thing is.
Yeah.
You know. Now, technically, that's also a dog.
Right.
And technically, Buddy, my dog, is also The Thing.
Yeah. For sure.
But yeah, the woman is screaming, "Where's my baby?" And then Helen picks up the butcher knife to defend herself, not knowing where she is.
Right.
Because when she's at that apartment previously, I don't think there's any time that she goes to the bathroom. Or
she's
down
in
that
that.
hallway.
No, she's in that front room. Is it?
So, I mean, if you had never been into our house and then you woke up in the bathroom in my bedroom, it'd be like, what? Where the fuck am I?
Yeah.
And then they get into an altercation because Anne-Marie believes that Helen has not only killed her dog, but has stolen her baby. Now, this is an interesting conversation that I want to have in the middle of this story.
Okay.
Do you think that it is the trance that makes Helen do these things? Or do you think that Candyman has knocked her out and in his way traveled with her back to Cabrini-Green, done the killing, and then wakes her up? Or she naturally wakes up? Is he the murderer, or is she the murderer under his control? Because I choose to believe it's the latter. I think the latter is much more sinister.
Oh, it definitely is more sinister. And it lends, because I'm thinking about the later murder that she's framed for as well. It lends itself either way, because I was going to say, oh, well, no, because that character later has a very big reaction when she sees him. But
well, she's also gutted.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is when the door closes behind her, she turns and sees him. She has a visual, like, stunned reaction.
Like, she sees him for sure.
But would she have had that same reaction if she turned around and saw a bloodied Helen with a knife?
Oh, yeah, fair.
So it could go either way.
Now, with the doctor, that's where it gets a little complicated.
Yeah.
Because that's obviously.
Right. So in that case,
granted,
it's
he's getting stronger. Is kind of implied at that point.
But it plays into this theme of what is real and what is fantasy.
Yeah.
So it all kind of works.
But the police come in to the room as they are on the ground having an altercation with Helen having cut Emery's arm with this butcher knife, and she is holding it threateningly in the air. Now, what the cops don't see is she's going, calm the fuck down, what is going on?
Right.
But the cops just see a couple of women covered in blood, and one of them is holding a butcher knife aggressively. So they arrest Helen, they give her the chair, zap her, fry her dead, and then dump her out back into a river.
Yeah, as the cops typically do.
Credits roll, and Tony Todd's Candyman does a little tap dance, like a sing-along over all the lyrics to the score. The score of this movie, by the way, is incredible.
I love the score.
Well, it's another sort of Phantom of the Opera. It is very operatic. It's very like gothic and haunting, and the editor knows exactly where to put it in.
Yeah.
Scene transitions, but not all of them. And he knows when to use the big one and the small one. And it's just, such good music.
Yeah. Philip Glass, apparently he thought that it would be like the way that he composed it. He thought that the story was going to be more of like the kind of dark romance of the novel, I guess. And so he was kind of upset whenever he deemed it as like, you put all my music in this like cheap slasher flick.
Which is such a shame, because not only is that not true, this is the least cheap slasher movie of any movie in that era, but also it is a dark romance. Again, they never specify, but it just, it feels so strongly of that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think it's that trance performance mixed with the kind of intimate way that Candyman would touch her and just kind of lead her to the water of their future together.
They apparently, Virginia and Tony went through, I think he said in the interviews, fencing classes and like ballroom dancing classes so that they would like get to know each other and
That's
get into the
awesome.
intimacy of things.
Did they bang?
Hopefully.
Because that'd be cool as fuck.
Yeah, it would. There was also a for him as well.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. But I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's Tony Todd.
Yeah, it's Tony Todd. There was a scene where they do kind of more fully, I believe they kissed originally.
Okay.
And that was something that like the censors at the time or whatever was just like, no, let's not go there.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And this is in 92.
That's the entire point of the movie.
Yes.
How do they not get it?
Because they still don't today.
Oh, yeah.
So for this scene where she is arrested and she has to strip in front of this policewoman, Virginia Madsen suggested that her one of her lifelong friends, Rusty Schwimmer, would be good for the part because that was someone that she would feel comfortable kind of doing this act in front of.
But she plays very uncomfortable and she plays that very believably.
Yes. Rusty Schwimmer, we have mentioned before, because she played Joey B in Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday.
I don't even know who Joey
She
B
owns
is.
she owns the diner.
She's married to Leslie Jordan?
Yes.
What the fuck? Oh my God.
Yeah, that
is
is
that
her.
who that is?
Yeah, that is her.
Oh man. Leslie Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Pour one out.
Pour one out.
Oh, and then also, I don't think we even mentioned that in this episode, but yeah, the reason we're talking about this so much earlier in the year is pour one out for Tony Todd.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is the sting of this movie now.
It really is.
Is I love it so much. And it is just the thing of like, oh my God, I can't believe he isn't around anymore.
Yeah. It is. And I know you haven't watched these yet.
Final Destinations.
The Final Destinations. He gets a sign off in that movie. Like I'm getting chills thinking about it. He gets to kind of give us fans like, hey, I know I'm out the door.
That's so sad.
Let me just give you some words of wisdom here.
Did he have cancer?
Yeah, he had cancer.
Yeah, it's so awful. Fuck cancer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If only we were spending our time as a species trying to get rid of that. Anyway, the entire booking and like her being arrested and being read her rights and stuff, it all feels so just bleak and brutal and effective. And it's for the detective that she had just spoken to, who after she had kind of outed the fake Candyman.
Yeah, Valento.
It was very kind to her, very like, you did it. You did a great service. And now he's like slamming his hands on the table. Like, do you fucking understand that you were under arrest? Like, because she keeps asking for things, not getting the gravity of her situation. Because to her mind, it's like, well, no. I'm going to explain this
Right,
and you're going to get it. Which is another thing I like about this movie is that so often the supernatural killer goes and they're solved and the police show up and everyone's sitting outside drinking hot chocolate and like having a good time. Like all I can think of is the end of The Conjuring. And it's like, no, they would put you all in cuffs.
Yeah.
There's dead bodies in the house. You're all lying to them. Like, but I like this because one death is more than enough. And they're like, well, no, you're the only one there. There is no Candyman. Get in the fucking car.
And like, why will you not tell us where this baby is?
Right.
Which she has a vision of while she's in jail of Anthony, the baby, in the abandoned Cabrini-Green apartment that she goes in, being held by Candyman in his lair, basically.
It's like, and we do this a couple times, so I'll knock this out of the way. Basically, they go into the mouth of that room and then they pan up and like into the corner where there seems to be like a secret passageway. But yeah, she gets booked. She makes a phone call to Trevor. It's 3 a.m. But
And
Trevor
he's
is
not
not
at
there
home.
because he's a piece of garbage. Her performance is great here too, because that flash of like
Realization.
mixed and mingled with the horror of her situation. It's like, well, now I don't know what to feel. Am I scared or angry?
Yeah.
But eventually Trevor does show up.
He bails her out the next day. And she questions him about that, but they just kind of go back and forth on, her situation. And Helen is kind of looking through her notes and the pictures that she's taken, because she does meet up with Bernadette at some point in the middle of all this. And Bernadette has had the pictures that she took on her camera developed, what they could save.
Oh,
Because
and
the camera
I
had
love
been damaged.
this.
And so, yes, because she's looking at it and she had taken a picture of herself in the reflection of the bathroom mirror, I guess, in the apartment. And whenever she looks closer and focuses it, Candyman is standing in the mirror behind her.
But it's like all of this detail of all of his silhouette with the coat and his, his big, like he's got a very wide jaw, very long neck. And it's all of that detail, but his face is completely blacked out. It's chills, man. It reminds me of the slide projector, and I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. But from
Chapter 1,
of Pennywise, and it's like it is that background shit. We talk about that all the time. It's so good, and even in this photo, it's super effective. But she's trying to relax. She's trying to. She's upstairs and she's in the bathroom mirror just trying to be normal. And fucking Candyman's hooked hand smashes out of the window and reaches at her after she finally is just like, well, she's been so high stressed and so high strung, and she's like, and then his fucking hook is like swiping, and it is like, this is the first time you hear his performance become violent, where it's like, and it's like screaming through gritted teeth. Really good. He keeps appearing.
I love that. I love that, like his arm comes out and she runs out of her apartment into the hallway. And as soon as she's out there at the other end of the hall, he is just standing there.
I also love the pose.
The pose is amazing.
It's feet shoulder length apart and his hands are behind his back. And it's just that coat.
It's that, same sort of thing that the first time he appeared in the parking garage. He just knows how to look.
He knows how to look, but also he knows what the character is. He knows this is how this guy stands. It's how he breathes. It's how he moves. And I think he's a wonderful character builder. But yeah, he basically, it's the old trope that I think there's nothing wrong with, where every time she turns a corner, he is in her view and she cannot escape him. Eventually she passes out.
Yeah, they end up back in her kitchen.
Yeah.
And he basically tells her, like, I have Anthony, I have the baby, and that you need to go with me or I'm going to kill the kid. And he like stabs her in the back of the neck. And
with the hook, like he grabs her. Yeah.
And at the same time, Bernadette has shown up.
Bad timing, Bernadette. Bad timing.
And so she comes into the apartment, and Helen is, struggling to tell her to leave and to not come in.
Yeah.
And as soon as she crosses the threshold into that apartment, that door slams in our faces, like in the camera. And then she turns around and Candyman is there. And so, like, depending on, like we were talking before, like which way you want to look at this story.
Either way, it's terrifying and haunting.
Yes.
I choose at this point, and I think as we've been talking and leading up to the sequence, I've been kind of mulling that over. I choose to believe it's Candyman.
Yeah.
And
it's the shock of, this thing that we've been like poking around at and investigating for a thesis.
Well, not only that, but
real.
Fucking she told the police Candyman killed the dog and has the baby and shit. She told them it's Candyman. And so Bernadette's going to check on her fucking brain fractured crazy old friend who's probably a dog murderer. And she opens the door and, oh no, she was right.
Yeah.
So what happens to me now? The other thing this illustrates is just how tall 6'6" truly is. Cause he towers over her. But yeah, Helen then wakes up and she's in her bed.
No, she's on the floor of the kitchen still with the knife. Trevor comes in and finds her that way.
Yes. Okay. I'm thinking
later when she wakes up. I know what you're meaning. Yeah. Because Trevor finds her there and Bernadette's dead body,
which we don't see yet.
Right.
And I think that's important because when we do see it is when she's woken up and she's in her bed with the cops and
they're
she's
like
handcuffed.
They've like sedated her.
And I don't know why, because the scene opens with the needle being pulled out of her skin.
Oh my God.
Which you hate. And having been in the hospital so many times, it's whatever to me. But
it's the way it pulls the skin.
Well, yeah, it's a needle.
I know, but why do I need to look at that? I don't.
That's like the least gory thing of any of the gory things in this movie.
Yeah, I'll take
what about the severed dog head?
That looks awesome.
Now, what if I put a needle in a dog?
Is it a real needle going into a real dog?
Yeah.
I don't want to see that.
Okay, there it is. So it's all about being real.
Yes.
Is that what separates like a fake head, like a fake severed head from like cutting somebody's head off in real life? Is it's real versus fake?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's good to know.
I will watch a decapitation in a movie any day of the week, but I'm not going on YouTube to watch
like ISIS beheading videos.
Yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. You know,
well, I need to feel alive somehow. What do I do? Crack and watch beheading videos. The reaction shot of her getting up and running because she wakes up and she's handcuffed and she runs and she's like, Trevor. The reaction shot of the cop trying to tackle her is the most unintentionally funny part of this entire movie because she's the worst cop ever. This is a woman who has just been medically sedated. She's awake now.
She is in handcuffs.
And she gets away and the cop is like stumbling onto the bed like, fuck, sorry, chief.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you sit between her and the bedroom door?
Why wouldn't you handcuff her and then put those handcuffs around something?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's hilarious and not an important detail, but it gets me every time. This is where we see Bernadette's body. Bernadette has been gutted, just like they say Candyman does. From
He does what he do.
He does what he do. What he does is guts you from there, and like she's got this bloody gash all the way up. The makeup on her, because it's clearly the actress just laying there with her eyes open, but the makeup on her is weird. She's like powder blue in places, like very George Romero. Like,
yeah, she looks like the zombies from Dawn of the Dead.
it's weird.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if it's they've seen, I don't know what it looks like when a person of color has been drained of blood.
That's fair. We're whitey.
Yeah.
I would have no way of knowing that. And I'm too afraid to look that up because I hate death.
Right.
I don't know who doesn't. It reminds me visually of The Ring. Because it's like, it is a little disturbing. But she goes to crazy person jail.
Yeah, they put her in a psychiatric hospital where she is strapped to a bed.
I said crazy person jail because I thought it might be culturally insensitive to say asylum. But then realized that crazy person jail can't be in any way better. So whatever. They take her to an asylum. She is visited pretty quickly by Candyman.
Yeah, it is like they strap her down to this bed, close the door as she is screaming like, don't do this. You're leaving me defenseless. And then he just appears to her.
Yeah, he is. And it is a haunting visual. He is. And you and I had a discussion about how they did this today. But what I'm realizing in this discussion is it doesn't really matter.
No.
It is so haunting because he's just levitating directly above her, floating directly above her. And he once again is like, come on, man. It's time. Let me get you. You let me get you. You get to live forever in the story.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice? Doesn't that sound better than what you're doing here? And she's like screaming, you murderer, you fucking asshole. And then
orderlies.
Yeah, they come in. And you pointed out that this looks silly.
Yes.
But is still effective.
Yeah, I think so.
Because he just sinks under the bed.
And I love it because it's as soon as he is out of our line of sight, the orderlies come in.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, just the playing with that of who can see him at any given time.
Yeah, who can understand Stewie? But Candyman instead. The biggest revelation to me here, and this is a much more realistic horror stake in this. Is she wakes up, she's wheeled to her doctor's office.
Yeah, Dr. Burke.
Yes, she gets there. She is awoken and brought there. And he reveals that she has been on medication, basically like chemically like comaed for a month.
Yeah.
That a month has gone by. And it's like.
And for her and us, it feels like it's been one day.
for her and us, it feels like it's been seconds.
Yeah, truly.
And it's like, because that's the thing.
Most, like, I would stretch it the imagination of like, okay, she passes out, they put her to sleep, she's waking up the next day.
Sure, yeah. Well, and for me, the reason this hits home for me is I've had some pretty major surgery and have been put under for many hours, like between 5 and 10 hours at one time I have been under. And the idea of doing that, and then you open your eyes in that recovery room and they're like, it's been a month.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck me. It's terrible. It scares the shit out of me. And she, basically it's like a tennis match of they want you in general pop and I want to keep you here. So you need to work with me. And she's going, well, I'm not fucking crazy. And he's going, look at this video, and shows her surveillance of her screaming at Candyman. And she's alone. He's not there. Again, playing with, has he ever been real?
Right.
And this is where you start to get that. And I don't think the audience is supposed to believe this, but
Right.
it is that little thread of,
They play for it for just a minute.
is she crazy? And I love that because immediately, without buying what she's saying on the TVs, she's like, I will fucking prove it.
Yeah, I can call him here.
And he goads her. So, and in my interpretation, he goads her so that once nothing happens, the recovery can start.
Right.
But does nothing happen, Derek?
No.
No.
But I do love I love the cadence of her looking over and saying the name in the mirror.
You still have the pause.
That pause. Because she again is like, if I'm wrong, then I'm crazy. And if I'm right, something worse might happen.
Well, if I'm right, I'm bringing the devil.
Yeah.
I am summoning the devil to let me out of jail. And it's like, what an extreme thing to do.
That's always worth it.
It's always worth it to summon the devil for any reason.
Yeah. Because he is metal AF.
Though Candyman beats the devil because the devil, like Macaulay Culkin in whatever that movie is very allergic to bees. And the devil can't afford an EpiPen because they ain't got no insurance in hell. But so, or ice water. There is a moment where nothing happens. And then the doctor's mouth erupts in blood. I am so trained at this point from watching horror movies that I could tell the second when we were watching the first time.
The way he's holding his mouth.
It's the second it cuts back to him and his mouth is different. I was like, man, that guy's got a mouthful of blood. He's about to get it. It's like when you're watching a cartoon and part of the background is animated. You're like, oh, but they're going to fuck with that because it's not about painting. This has been animated on top. It's once you're holding your mouth, like you're like trying not to swallow like a bunch of frogs or whatever that's stuck in your mouth, the Tom Holland bit. Once you are holding your mouth like that, you're going to get shot or stabbed in the back. And he does. This is the moment where Candyman's aggressive.
Oh yeah.
For the first time visually, he tears his hook, and we don't see this. This is all completely hidden by Dr. Burke's like kind of torso, like his chest. But he tears that hook all the way through his back and just lets him slump to the ground dead.
Yeah.
And then does both the silliest and coolest looking thing ever.
Yeah. He, because Helen is still strapped to her wheelchair, so he undoes her straps, thus releasing
and her bra
her.
straps.
Yeah.
Because he's smoother than hell.
He does it with like one hand. Sexy as hell.
He's only got one hand. That's ableist. Oh man. Yes. He undoes her like restraints. And then I don't remember exactly what he says in this moment.
Neither do I.
Something more than likely, because based on his track record, something to the effect of, I will trade you for the child, but you have to find your way back to me. And then he like takes his hands and his arms and he tucks them into his chest and he like bows his head low and then smashes, like flies backwards, like back first out of the window and just up and away. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. We've never seen him do anything like this before.
No, it is so haunting because it is the first moment where he acts like kind of like an apparition. Oh man, it's silly looking, but you pointed this out and a lot of people have said something to the effect of good horror and good comedy are right next to each other. It depends on the context.
It's based on context. It's based on atmosphere and looking at it as the full picture. If you walk past, think about Inferno. You're half watching it the other day, and you're like, okay, well, that was the craziest thing I've ever seen. It looks stupid, but in context, it should make sense.
Yes. Now, Inferno's a bad example because even in the context, it was still pretty stupid. But
that sort of thing happens where, like, I'll be watching something here at home, and you or Carly will walk by, and it's just like, what is this? And it's like, well, you can't just take it by this one moment.
Yeah, this is like I'm like really affected by this right now. Please don't laugh. Yeah. No. It is so intriguing. Just the change in his physicality. He's aggressive and brutal because at this point, the rumor mill, and this is what I take. It's not specifically laid out, but the rumor mill has been churning that this woman, her child is missing and her dog's been decapitated. And this white lady who was walking around their area, trying to find out about Candyman was there. And she's telling the cops that it was Candyman. And suddenly he's not so much of an apparition anymore. Now he's smashing through windows and murdering doctors in broad daylight. And so I like that kind of causality.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Helen returns, she escapes and returns back to her apartment to find in the month that she's been away. Trevor is now living with his student, Stacy, who is painting their apartment.
Significantly younger than him.
Yes.
Uncomfortably younger than him. Like almost 10 years probably.
Yeah, easily. And she, Helen confronts her.
Yeah.
And she calls, Trevor out. So she confronts Trevor as well.
I like her performance here, is Stacey's performance here, because, and I know that you didn't think her performance was very good, but this is one of the things that I took from it as being good, is she sees Stacey sees Helen, and she smiles for that moment of like, oh, hello, like polite and manners, and then realizes who it is.
Yep.
But she can't change her face because she's paralyzed with fear. That's what I take from it.
That helps me to enjoy that performance.
And she's like huddled against the wall and like crying. Yeah. Because
like almost holding the paint roller up as a protective, something.
Because this woman, to their knowledge, this woman not only murdered a random dog, kidnapped a child, but then murdered her best friend in the most gory, disgusting way ever. They're like, oh, we don't know what this woman is capable of.
Yeah. And I love, because obviously she has her like moment with Trevor of like, well, yeah, I knew that this was going on, but were you just going to let me rot in there? Was like that the plan?
It's her blink, because she's like, were you going to wait until I got out to tell me? And then she blinks and she's like, you knew I was never going to get out of there. And it's horrible.
And then like, I think the line is like, oh, well, yeah, I guess it's over. And it's like her marriage is over. And she's realizing it now.
As she goes to leave, one of my favorite parts of this scene is she picks up a paint can, because they're painting the house, and she picks up a paint can and throws it at the wall, and it splashes everywhere. And I love that because it is such an obvious sign of her innocence. If she was a psycho, if she was a murderer, capable of harming anybody, she'd kill them both.
Yeah. Fit of passion.
And the worst she can think to do is she just throws a paint can at the wall. Yeah. Because she's naive. She's innocent. I like the character of Helen quite a bit by this point, especially because, I mean, she's been rattled. Her life is basically over, but she still has pride. She still has a form of dignity. And I like that. I like that storytelling.
I love the last little thing here before she leaves where she does that little freak out and, Trevor has a reaction and she stops and it's just like, oh, am I scaring you? Because that gets its payoff at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, she flees to Cabrini-Green to attempt to rescue Anthony. And so she travels, into the abandoned apartment, through the walls, up into the it's almost like a cathedral, the way that it's shown.
Yeah, I don't know what that's supposed to be. My assumption is like a storage, like a sort of a maintenance storage area that's been long abandoned.
Because the ceilings are much higher and, you know, there's still graffiti. But there's like murals that kind of explain and show the life of Candyman.
Something that I love so much too about this setting is like Cabrini-Green is a real place. People at the time that this movie was out lived there. It was real. But what I love is that in the years that this movie's been out, the 30 some years that this movie's been out, now it's more of a mythology because that building's long gone. Yeah. All that area is gone. But it's like, you don't bat an eye at the fact that this crazy old building that had a twin across the city would have a cathedral for a roof. It's like, well, yeah, sure. Fucking Candyman lives there. Yeah. Why not? Like, it's great. You at this point, you're so fucking bought in. Because the first time I watched this movie, I didn't even consider that.
Right.
It is just that's what's up there. But it's interesting because this is another moment where we see him he's like corporeal. He's like asleep
on like an altar.
Yeah. He's got a baby.
And so he wakes up and you know, it's the back and forth of it's more of the repeated lines of what his plan is and what he wants to achieve here and how she can sacrifice herself to save the baby and whatnot.
And she was like, fucking kill that baby. That baby's the bad guy. Who cares? That baby is a terrible person.
But in this, he offers her immortality, much in the same way that, you know, he has immortality. And I don't know if that means like truly, like he's going to make her a spirit, or if it's your story will live on like mine.
I have always taken it as you will be immortal, as though like, you know, Achilles is immortal, or, you know, figures like that will always be around. I've always taken it that way.
Right. And this is our B scene. So he opens up his coat and reveals that like his chest, you see his skeleton and his lungs underneath, but his whole chest cavity is just filled with bees. Yeah. They have filled every part of his body that they can. It's what you were talking about in production notes. He opens his mouth, bees are pouring out of it. And this is as close to a kiss as we get for them. He like leans down and brushes his face against hers. And then he pulls back and the camera comes back to her and she is covered in bees. And what a random thing that just works so fucking well. Yeah. You could have made it anything. You could have made it snakes. You could have had a mouth full of dwarf hamsters. Man, Indiana Jones would not like that. Why has it got to be snakes? Why does it have to be bees? But yeah, no, this whole section is so romantic and gothic and but still modern and interesting. And nobody had ever done anything like that before. And it's just effective. And I love their performances here. She has that trance, but she's almost like, too far gone at this point. Yeah. It's like, my life is over. I don't have really anything that I'm waiting to go back to. I mean, truly, because like, think about that. If she can't convince everyone, if she can't prove that this specter is real, there's nothing for her outside of this building again. And even if there were, the love of her life has now left her and she doesn't even have a home. Yeah. And so the best she can do is attempt to save this baby. Yeah. Which, you know, she had that brief connection with his mother. And I'm sure she feels guilty because like the last time she saw her, she sliced her arm open with a butcher knife. And this whole, like this little family unit has been, you know, affected so negatively by her involvement. Unfortunately, this is where we get to the end of this incredible 5-star movie. This is our departure from this, which is a damn shame. Yes. Candyman vanishes with Anthony. And so Helen awakens and kind of makes her way down to the earlier, when she's with Jake, he mentions that they're like building this pile of like trash furniture and things for the big bonfire that's going to happen. And I guess originally it made more sense whenever this story is set in Liverpool because it was a like Guy Fawkes Day celebration. They were going to do a big burn. But here it's like, it's just whatever. But she heads out and she hears Anthony crying from the middle of this pile. And so she, before she leaves, she finds one of the hooks, like you said, the butcher hook. And so she goes out and she climbs up and into this giant pile of trash to get to the baby. And Jake happens to wake up hearing noise outside and sees kind of the last little bit of her as she descends into this pile of trash, and he sees the hook that she's holding. And so believing that Candyman has returned,
he is very much the like Paul Revere, like, hey, something's going down. I think it's Candyman. We all got to go. And the whole building seems to empty out and file down around this pile. And
I'm going to make a reference here, and it's not from one of our favorite movies, but it is something that makes me retroactively think of this.
Okay.
Like that may have borrowed from Candyman. This makes me think of the ending of Halloween Ends.
Oh, Jesus.
The
town.
Yes.
Yeah. All coming to watch him in the Baylor. Yeah.
So yeah, they go down and they start this pile on fire. With Helen. Unknowingly, Helen is inside, and Candyman, appears to her. And this is where I feel like, as kind of loose as his whole plan has been, of like making her a legend and her, being his victim and dying to save the kid and whatever he was trying to do, kind of comes to this point of like, wait, what is happening? What did you really want to achieve here?
Yeah.
Because
I mean, my assumption is that the thing he wanted to achieve is what he got.
Right.
He wanted his legend to come back, and that worked. And now it's like, well, if you and this kid survive, or if even the kid survives, the fear of me goes away. So yeah, I lied. I'm going to kill you both.
Yeah.
But who cares? I'm down in this pit with you. I'm going to hold you here until we burn alive. And then he says one of the most metal things in the world, which is like, our ashes will linger together forever. And it's just like, God damn, Candyman.
It's romantic.
You're poetic as fuck. But yeah, that's my assumption as to what the end result here is. Because she screams like, you lied. And he doesn't really elaborate.
Right.
But in my mind, it's like, well, no one can survive for him to get that sort of like Scarecrow from Batman. That like, I need the fear. It is what I am after. Any survivor diminishes that. So I think his plan is just death all around.
Yeah. No, that makes the most amount of sense.
Yeah.
So she ends up stabbing him with like this burning plank, and that allows her to crawl away with the baby, and she makes it out
but like, she is on fire.
Yeah.
Her hair is burning. And it's like her clothes have become like molten on her back because of how long she was trapped and how much she is on fire. So they put her out.
But she is able to, get the baby out safely to his mother.
Regardless of how terrible of a person that baby was.
Right. And so we then we cut to her funeral, which is being, apparently she knew no one else.
Well, and that's okay. This is a soapbox that I don't need to get on, but this is such a problem that I have with like grooming in general. When you hear about like these really age inappropriate relationships where there is a much older man and a much younger girl. I'm sure it's the same in reverse, but this being that example is that, they enter your life. It's all glitz and stars and wonder. And then slowly your life becomes theirs. They're established. They are a person. They have friends. They have hobbies. They have all of the things that they would ever do because they are so much, almost 10 years, 15 years, however, whatever their age disparity is. And so the young, innocent, naive person just slowly morphs their life into a collective. And so, yeah, you don't have anybody left. All you have is their people. But if they ever leave, then you're alone. And I think in general that, I don't think that this is meant as a commentary on that, but that's the sad, heartbreaking part of this that I see is that, like, yeah, she probably wouldn't have anybody because she gave her entire life to this dude who then decided it was his to have until he didn't want it anymore.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
And the one, her best friend has been gutted.
Is dead.
So yeah, it's like the only other people that we see are the professor from earlier, who's the Candyman expert,
Stephen Fraud.
Yeah. And
Stacy is there.
Yes.
Which, bro, makes the ending of this way better.
Yes.
Now, the only other thing I'll say on that is, and it's touching. So
Yes,
it's absolutely beautiful. Every single inhabitant, it seems, of Cabrini-Green come walking through this graveyard to pay their respects to Helen. My assumption is they do this because in returning Anthony, they realize that it could not have been her wrongdoing, and that it was Candyman,
right?
But she defeated him. That's my assumption.
That makes the most sense.
They saved them, or she saved them.
Yeah.
And Jake is at the front of this funeral procession, and he takes Candyman's hook and drops it into the coffin to be buried with her, making her a spooky ghost.
Yeah. It this long line of people in the graveyard reminds me of the ending of Schindler's List.
I haven't seen Schindler's List.
What? You haven't seen Schindler's List?
Yeah, we're talking about Candyman, which I have seen.
But it's not like a storyline spoiler of Schindler's List. Sure. But at the very end, it is like we see a procession of all of the people that he saved.
Interesting. Okay.
Actually go visit his grave and leave stones, which is a Jewish thing to do, is to leave stones at people's
interesting
headstones. So it makes me think of that in a way, just visually. But I think it's very moving. It makes me think of, like, in a weird way, and this is kind of a, like, I don't know how white saviory this is, but it's like, that they're paying their respects to this white woman who had been causing, they thought, problems for them, but like turns out that she wasn't.
Yeah.
And that she was just kind of trying to investigate this thing and kind of tell a story. But it makes me think of the kind of the respect then given back to her by these residents. The end of To Kill a Mockingbird, whenever they have, lost the case, but then, and Atticus Finch, I believe is the character's name. He goes to leave the courtroom, and all of the people of color who are sitting up in the, the top there watching this court hearing, they all stand up in respect of him having done the best that he could for their people. And,
yeah. What I will say is that this is an interesting example of storytelling here, because typically, my gut reaction would be to say that this is a bit white saviory in general, but her race, Helen's race, has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
There's no position of privilege or power being used to accomplish any goal. And it is just that if you change her race to any race on earth, it wouldn't change the outcome of what happens. So I find that interesting that in this case, it's more about her being integral, and she doesn't save anybody but Anthony. But in having done that, they all realize, oh, we were worried for a minute that it was actually a curse. Now we don't have to be.
Yeah. And
this woman that we all probably like has her kid back.
Yes.
The one person from Cabrini-Green that didn't go there was the guy who did not like that woman. It's her neighbor. Yeah. She's too loud.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We get a little epilogue here, which is a wonderful payoff.
Yes.
Because Trevor is back at home.
Miserable.
Yeah. I mean, like, grief-stricken.
His house is all
guilt-ridden.
Yeah. The house is pink and filled with like stupid early 90s decor, and it just looks terrible. And she's walking around in like a very see-through white shirt, just being a ditz. Like, do you want me to make dinner? Trevor, are you okay? And it keeps cutting back into the bathroom. And he's like fully dressed, just sitting on the toilet, like trying not to cry. And he keeps having these flashback memories of his time in that apartment where it was decorated like an adult would live there by Helen. And he is like, he starts to cry. And I know they wanted this to seem like kind of casual.
Yes.
But because it's the 5 times, that's impossible.
As soon as he says it the second time, you're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah. But he, grief-stricken, says Helen's name in the mirror 5 times. She then, the lights go out and she then appears in the mirror behind him. And she says, what's the matter, Trevor? Something, what did she say?
Basically that.
I love how I did the voice and everything. And I fucked it up. She's like, what's the matter, Trevor? You fucking scared? She
Pretty much.
sticks him with a Bic pen right in his neck.
But yeah, this payoff here, it's the same framing from earlier, but now it's like, it's her with the burn makeup on. And so it's this, you know, we are now left with, oh, has she now become the very thing that she was, you know, trying to stop?
I think so. I think that the ending of the original Candyman is to tell the story that her death and her tragedy supplants Candyman's. Because in her coming out with the baby, they realized, oh, no, Candyman didn't kill the dog. Candyman didn't kill these people. She has proven that she found this kid. Like, oh, thank God it wasn't Candyman. And with that, his legacy is snuffed out. But she crawls out and dies in that fire. And she becomes the new legend, the new thing. And she's so fucking vengeful because Trevor had a hand in her basically rotting in an asylum and dying in a fire. And so, yeah, it's how dare you say my fucking name? And I love it. Her performance is so subtle and so understated, but she is just seething. And it's, what's the matter, Trevor? Are you scared? And then Stacy at one point is like, Trevor, what's wrong?
And she guts him.
Yeah.
And so when Stacy opens that door, and she has been, you know, cooking dinner, so she's holding this big knife. And so it's again, oh, Stacy has now been framed for the murder of Trevor by Helen.
Which is great.
It's
great.
Jeff's kiss.
It is the thing of everything, and we've talked about this with many franchises where those first entries are really good examples of this, but Candyman is a great example of a movie where every setup has a payoff. Everything's a setup, and they all have payoffs. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
The movie's really well paced.
Even as like the credits start rolling and we push in, we're back in his lair, and we push in on this new mural, but it's her almost angelic.
But her hair is fire.
Yes.
Her hair is winter fire. Kiss me, fat boy. But the pacing of the movie is great. At no point do you ever get lost in the weeds of something. Something is always moving forward.
Right.
And it all moves to this finish line that is bleak because everyone's dead. By the end of it, everyone's dead. The only one's alive, Stacy, and she's going to jail. And Anthony and Jake and obviously the people at Cabrini-Green are alive, but are like Helen's family and her main titular characters, they're all gone at this point.
It's, you know, a lot of times you're in slashers, let's talk that. You know, you have your final girl.
Yeah.
She makes it out somehow.
Yeah, but we don't have that. We have a final girl who is the final word in the death of people who wronged her because now she is the monster. She becomes the werewolf, the Frankenstein. And I love so much that as you exit this movie, you watch a woman who is completely invested in the research and oration of these tales, these urban legends, live through, die at the hands of, and become an urban legend. It's fantastic.
I love that.
There's almost, I struggle to find something that I can say. And this is my answer, by the way. I've transitioned past it. Yes, I recommend this movie.
Oh, you do?
I do. I don't need to be asked. It is one of, if not my favorite horror movies of all time. For that reason, I struggle to find things that are wrong with this movie. I love everything about it. I love the way it looks, the way it sounds, the way it feels, the way it sticks with you the day after. And I just, it's heady, but it's accessible.
Yeah.
It's anything that you would want a movie to be, but none of it's like, oh Jesus, or
Yeah.
like an eye roll.
It's
at any
never
point.
eye rolly. It never beats you over the head with anything.
No, it never beats you over the head with anything, but they fuck with some pretty heavy shit. Race, income inequality, poverty, the housing crisis of the 90s, which is, by the way, still going on.
What?
It is fucking police brutality. Then to like interpersonal relationship issues of things that many people have gone through, many people have experienced, and it just weaves itself so effortlessly through extreme horror and extreme moments of suspension of disbelief to very human issues, and it goes back and forth, and then eventually it shows you that, oh yeah, all of that, it's all the same. It's just so good.
Yeah, it's pretty well a masterpiece.
Yeah. Derek, do you recommend Candyman?
I do, for all the reasons you said.
Yeah.
It's hard to find things wrong with it.
Yeah. After watching this movie the first time, I went and watched it again the next day. But in the middle of that, I thought it'd be interesting to have a conversation with the man. So I went into my bathroom and I got into my mirror and I said Candyman's name 5 times. And instead of Candyman appearing, Jordan Peele appeared.
Wow.
In the mirror.
I love his work.
And he was like, well, have you seen the one that I produced? And I was like, no. And he's like, oh. Well, I guess tell me when you do. And he turned around and he left the mirror. Like he's gone. So then when we finally watched the latest one.
A few days later.
Yeah, I said Candyman's name 5 times. He showed back up. He said, what do you think? I was like, it's pretty good. He said, pretty good? And he reached out and he slapped me so hard in the face that now I remember this story being about Jordan Peele. Thanks for tuning into the Third Channel podcast. Please, if you have the time, rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast apps.
You can follow us on social media at Third Channel Podcast, and you can find me online at @DRosenberg.
You can also reach out to us at thirdchannelpodcast@gmail.com, where we check every message we swear. Third Channel is hosted by PJ Minette
and Derek Rosenberg. Theme song and audio engineering by Fly Guy Ty.
The logo designed by Belle DeVelco.
Episode artwork by Nathan Walkington.
Keep it tuned right here to the Third Channel for all things horror. And remember, don't touch that dial. Egg salad and eggs.